So the last thing that can happen, bro, is I vouch for somebody to come to Roca. They injure Helena doing something stupid, and then it's my fault.
But anyways, even when she came, Helena wasn't there. She was in Brazil.
Yeah, she was in Brazil.
So there was like Maca. Bro, there's some chicks at RG.
George, for example, was the same thing. When I was in London Grapple teaching a seminar, he asked me, I want to come train with you guys. And how does that work? How can I come? And I told him, bro, I was like, go to RGA. I didn't even tell John, but John saw him training and was like, hey, buddy, you want to come to Roca?
Are you for real?
Swear to God.
It was that easy?
It was that easy.
Oh, fuck.
It's very random because there are guys that go to RGA I know that are like pretty decent and they never get invited. But there's certain people that he will just like send them over.
There's some explosive guys, man. Some explosive guys that don't make it to Roca.
No, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to be like, I feel like everyone under on one mat.
Yeah, just to have more bodies, I think, is good. But
definitely useful.
We have a good training room. Like I can have good rounds.
No, for sure.
But you get used to people after a while.
You get used, but you know what I started doing as well? I started like doing these, not that, you know, the sessions with John aren't amazing. They're all fucking good, you know? But sometimes I'll like grab a guy and I'll go drill like for an hour, you know, separate. Like just things that, you know, I need to work on.
What, at Black Widow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll grab someone. Like there's a guy, his name is Johnny Gonzalez. He's like a fighter from Black Widow. And then I'll go and I'll drill with him like for an hour.
Yeah.
And dude, it's not like the things that John is, the things that he's showing is not something I'm not going to need or it's not useful, but it's just at that particular time, like EBI is coming. I see the lineup of guys in there. I kind of do the studying, you know, like what are these guys good at, you know? And I'm like, okay, this is stuff that I need to drill extra, you know? So I'll do like an hour of drilling and I feel like it kind of covers for, you know, maybe not having a certain style in the room. Do you know what I mean?
See, I don't have that kind of discipline to do that outside of Roca. Like occasionally I'll train at Gracie Umaita, but it's very rare. Like literally it's like once every like 6 months.
Yeah.
I'll go there and I'll just like roll around a little bit with the guys and stuff. But for the most part, the thing that I've loved the most about training here in Austin is that I can train when I want to train and teach when I want to teach.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for me, it came back, especially after like I had a match against Cal Chambers recently. And then like since ADCC, I haven't been like in camp mode, you know, like camp mode, how it is. The vibe of like training and like just consistently training and like just all you thinking about is training. So I went into the match against Cal Chambers very far from my best. Like in terms of technique, in terms of conditioning, very, very far from my best. And I felt it like midway through the match, I'm getting tired. And then towards the end, like I was dominating the whole match, but then I started making mistakes. He started getting on my legs in the last minute, you know? And that's like a sign of like a lack of conditioning.
How long was that match?
It was 8 minutes regulation and then 5 minutes overtime.
EBI overtime?
No. Points.
Golden score?
No golden score.
Just points.
Points, yeah. So I'm like, dude, I can't go to like EB, dude, and I had next level like doubts. For the next 2-3 days, next level doubts. Like I go to Midland to teach, and then like in the back of my mind, Jesus, like I'm doing this comp. It's 10-minute rounds with OT, and you gotta be in shape. And I'm like, dude, I'm going in there not in shape. Like, what am I doing? Like, am I gonna do this comp? I'm not gonna do this comp. So I'm like, dude, I have short time, so I'm just gonna have to do like some extra shit. And then like at Blue Belt, that's what I was doing. White Blue Belt, like at TriStar.
Yeah.
We didn't like there was no jiu-jitsu training in the morning. Like didn't have any jiu-jitsu. It was all like MMA, you know, in the morning.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the guy and then we used to do just that. We used to like go put a timer, like drill with time, or like just write on a piece of paper, like, hey, I wanna drill this, I wanna drill that. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna start doing that again.
Yeah.
That way maybe I can like make up for the time that like I lost by, not lost, but I feel like getting ready for a comp, you need to be like all in on it, you know?
Yeah, well, that's the thing too about competing now versus competing 5-10 years ago. Like when I first started competing like actively all the time, I was just training all the time. I didn't have like a training camp or training schedule. Like I had a schedule, but I didn't have like a training camp or like, I'm going to prepare for this tournament. I'm going to do my strength and conditioning. I'm going to do my diet for this or that or whatever tournament. Like I didn't have a goal.
Yeah.
You just go and compete and you don't give a fuck. Like you're just like, oh, there's a tournament this weekend. Okay, well, I'm going to sign up and go do it. Now, And I did that a little bit after winning the first ADCC. Like whenever they asked me to compete, I competed. Literally almost every event, unless I was either already booked or injured or whatever the case was. But if not, they invited me. It didn't matter what the money was. Didn't matter what the opponent was. Didn't matter. And I would just go in and compete. But you get like mixed performances. Even if you're winning most of those matches, the performances are mixed. Like the Kyle Chambers match you talked about. I didn't see that fight.
Yeah.
But you go there and you have these doubts, even in the middle of the match or right after. You're like, fuck, maybe I should have prepared better for this fight.
Yeah.
Or maybe I should have thought about it in the long term, like had like a 2-month training camp or a 6-week training camp or something that I was just focused on the match. Because when I'm getting ready for ADCC or getting ready for a tournament, my whole life stops.
Yeah.
You do nothing besides training. So you sacrifice like fucking social interactions. You sacrifice financial, like your ability to go and travel and teach seminars. Like there's been times where I was going to teach a bunch of seminars and then I go like right before a competition and you get fucked in the competition because maybe you win, maybe you perform okay, but you know you didn't perform 100% because things were off. You're sleeping bad, you're traveling, you're not training with the same people, you're not doing John's classes, you're not doing positional sparring, creativity drills, you're just doing a seminar, you maybe roll with a couple of the guys after that are not that good or that can't give you that look. So now my mindset shifted to where like if I'm gonna compete, I'm 100% invested in just the competition.
Yeah.
And you gotta kind of pick your battles to not like protect your career, but protect your, because you like I know I never go into a tournament of nowadays afraid of losing a match. I just want to make sure that I perform 100%.
Yeah, 100%, man. I had you were there actually when I had a match against Tainan this year. That was a perfect example of like picking your battle and the timing and everything. Because like I had that match. Okay, we were supposed to do that match. Like it was in the works for like 2 years. You know, Ricardo's like, hey man, like after I beat Jonathan Alves at WNO,
Great win.
Yeah, it was a good match. You know, it was like okay. Good performance. We're gonna do what's his name? Tainan Dalpro.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, for like 2 years we're supposed to do it. No, we're gonna do it then. We're gonna do it then. Then they give him a couple of guys here, they build him up. And then I accept the match at like not the best time where I was like getting ready for ADCC.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready for trials. And then I have to cut weight 170 to make 170 to go to Europe. And then the week before, barely the week before, I'm fighting at 185 against him at WNO. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he was doing the exact opposite. It took 2 years probably because he didn't feel he was ready. And so he was doing everything he could to be as prepared as he could for that match.
Exactly.
So
that's the lesson, man. And I go like, and then it kind of like, you know, for me, I learned a lot by like, through experiences. You know, people tell me, oh, maybe don't do this, maybe don't do that. You know, and maybe I should have talked to John about it. You know, like I tend to do things like kind of on my own. You know, I tend to not communicate it with John maybe as much as I should. But yeah, that lesson was a pretty like strong one for me. You know,
that was because I recorded you for that match.
Yeah,
I thought that was one of your best performances.
Really?
Yeah, actually.
Serious?
Well, so if you look at Tainan, right? He's super accomplished. And I think that there was a lot of people saying that like maybe there was a lot of, maybe it was flow, maybe it was just people in the comments saying that he was at like not a disadvantage, but it was a risk for him taking that match because he's not a no-gi guy, which also I take issue with when people like to say, oh, but I'm not a no-gi guy. Well, it's like, first of all, you've been training no-gi and you've been doing jiu-jitsu since you were 5 years old. So you know jiu-jitsu. And so it's not like you're just foreign to the concept of jiu-jitsu. And I'm sure that there's been no-gi training, like, you know, he had been competing no-gi. So it's a high profile match for you and for him. So there's a risk on both sides, right? You giving up a big weight advantage and you fighting a huge name because that was probably one of your biggest matches up until that point.
Yeah, one of the biggest ones for sure.
So if you look at it, especially with the size advantage, like he's super physical. In the hand fight, in the standing position in the hand fight, he had a couple takedowns, but you were very difficult to hold down and almost impossible to submit.
Yeah.
And I mean, you fatigued him pretty badly over 15 minutes, and you weren't that tired.
No, man.
And that's that. If you actually objectively look at a match, you can see tells like that. And to me, that shows that your game plan overall and your technique overall was more efficient. But he, on the tactical side, because he's very experienced and because he's very physical, and he's also technical too. But like those two elements, the physicality and like the timing of knowing like when to explode and when to get his like advantages, right, was what won him the match.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at the match as a whole and the small little battles that were won, especially in standing and in the hand fight, outside of like a couple takedowns, I mean, that was like, I was looking at that match from the corner and I could visibly see you discipline with your hand fighting, discipline with your stance, moving him around, pulling on his head, and him getting fatigued and having to like posture up and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think if you just had like a little bit more size, like if the size were equal and you just timed a couple of things better, like on the tactical side, and I think mainly the size was the biggest thing, because you were definitely visibly smaller than him, and you just got off of a big weight cut. It's not to make excuses or to like diminish his win.
Yeah.
But if all things were equal on those sides, the match I think would have been different.
Yeah, I feel like especially I could have taken advantage of that size difference by like pulling the trigger a little bit more. Because then he fought J-Rod a couple of months later.
Yeah.
And J-Rod right off the bat, blast double puts him down.
He always pulls the trigger. Like he's always pushing the pace and high pace and stuff. And I think it works out sometimes to his advantage, sometimes to his disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because he did get tired at the end of the fight, just like he did when I fought him.
Yeah, that was a sick match.
So if you are aware, I think Tainan didn't realize that because he never fought him before, but because I fought Jay a couple times before that, I kind of knew that, and I knew, and I think long matches just work in my favor anyways because I have good cardio and I'm good at like pacing myself. I've learned to be better at pacing myself. But yeah, you see that like if you would have maybe pushed a little bit more, it could have changed the result.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of ideas that I walked away with. Obviously, you know, when I look back at it, I feel like just there's no worse feeling than finishing a match and then like if I get beat, the guy technically like smokes me, man, just like beats me up. I'm like, bro, I have no answer for what he's doing. Then I'll be like, okay, but I feel like it's a lot worse when you walk out of a match and you're like, dude, I didn't pull the trigger. Like, I know I could have done so much more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You walk out of it, you're like, dude, I could have shown so much more.
Yeah.
Especially like that what was it called? The OC Fair? What is it? Like where they hold this event, the OC Fair, like in
where?
Where's that?
Orange County.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the venue. It's in Costa Mesa.
Yeah, that venue, man. I need a win in that venue, man.
Yeah.
I need to change the vibe from that venue.
I remember you told me that.
Dude,
because you had 2 matches there, right?
I had Jonatas Gracie, and I had Tainan.
I think I fought there twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fought there twice, and once was against Pedro. I lost that one.
Yeah.
And the other one was the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I lost in the finals, but to Kainan.
Yeah, that was a good match.
Yeah, both were very tight matches, but still same.
You know what one of my favorite takeaways from that trip is when we went out to eat with the Pedigo guys.
Yeah.
What's his name? Heath?
Heath, the head guy.
Dude, you remember Heath? Like we took the elevator, we stood like in the hallway of the not even like the hotel room, like the hotel lobby, like where the rooms are.
Yeah.
And he talked to us for like
hours.
At least an hour, I think. We were standing. My back was hurting.
We were talking downstairs for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Then we took the elevator. We were on the same floor, and we were gonna split ways because your room was that way, our rooms were that way, his room was the other way.
Yeah.
And we kept talking for like an hour.
Yeah.
And I've known Heath for a long time. He's one of my favorite people in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And he can talk, and he has stories for days. He's just like unlimited stories.
Yeah.
He loves to chat. He's always a super fun guy to talk to. But yeah, that night, the funny thing about that night is when we were in the hallway, dude, I had to hold in a shit
Oh,
for like an hour.
Dude,
but I was
like-
so interested in the conversation. But I was clenching as hard as possible. I had this shit so fucking bad because we went to In-N-Out, you remember?
Oh, yes.
We went
I
to
remember.
In-N-Out, we downed fucking burgers, shakes, everything. We freaking smashed it.
Yeah,
dude. I had this shit so bad. And then I went to the room and I told you, remember?
best.
We were sharing the room. I told you, I was like, bro, you better fucking
Cover.
open the windows.
That's true. We were,
Yeah, you remember that?
Oh yeah, baby. I remember. It was a fun, dude. It was interesting. Like, imagine this guy, like running his own promotion. I think he would do good because everything he was saying made a lot of sense. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely, like, I think him and his team, they're more IBJJF oriented. Like, they compete all the IBJJFs. That's when I first met Heath. I think I was a purple belt. No, I was a brown belt, and I was fighting Wiltsey a couple times at the Chicago Open. We fought twice.
Yeah.
Back when he was competing, back before all the crazy shit started happening with him.
With him.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
And so I competed against him, and he was doing well in the color belts, like blue, purple, kind of early brown. He was doing good.
Yeah.
But purple belt, I think, was his heyday for sure. Competing, he was tough.
What do you mean heyday?
Like, that's when I think he started having his best results. Like, he like medaled at the Worlds and the Pans.
Oh yeah.
He might have even won a couple Worlds. I don't remember. But that's when he was being like most talked about in the gi, in the IBJJF circles. Brown belt as well. He was, and then he kind of started to, like, right when you saw ADCC started taking off, like no-gi started taking off, that like pre and post COVID time. That's when I felt that he started to fall off a little bit for a bunch of different reasons. And then now he's just gone completely fucking haywall.
I don't remember who it was. I think it was AJ Agazarm, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was, but I remember like one of the Modolfo camps, he was there. Or it was someone who said like the amount of attention he's getting right now on him. Like, you know how Flo like covered his when he lived in a shack or something.
Yeah, that's when I fought him, when he was living in that fucking shack.
Yeah, do you think that's something that caused his like mental like downfall?
The exposure?
The exposure and then the amount of attention he was getting, like
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know him well enough outside of, I was always super friendly with him. Of all the teams that I know in jiu-jitsu, I'm pretty friendly with everybody. That over the years I've been able to like meet people. But like the Daisy Fresh guys have always been kind of like on my side, even though we're not on the same team. Like I met Heath for the first time. I think I was a brown belt when I first like started talking to him when I was fighting Wiltsey.
Yeah.
But like in conversations with him, and that's what I mean. Like, he knows a lot about jiu-jitsu and the culture, and he's been around it for so long, doing all these tournaments. He's like, yeah, I remember watching you when you were like 16 at the Miami fucking 5 grappling competitions. And I'm like, wait, you were watching those tournaments? Like, and he watches everybody and he follows everybody. So like that day when we were talking at the Who's Number One, that's why like I think the insights he was giving about how like they could change certain things in competitions and stuff was good, because he's just been around it for so long. I think everybody has their, like, I've been around the game for a long time, you've been around the game for a long time. Everybody has their insight on what can change things to make it a little bit better. But like at the end of the day, somebody has to adopt some sort of, like, this is my belief, there has to be some sort of like universal, like overlapping rule set and time frame and like structure, because otherwise you get all these random rule sets and tournaments, which is cool on one side, but at the same time you can get like, you can fight Taina and Dalpra in a Who's Number One rule set, or in an IBJJF rule set, or in an ADCC rule set, or in a EBI rule set, and you're going to get 4 different results.
That's true.
Because it's 4 different game plans, 4 different strategies, 4 different time limits, 4 different rule sets.
Yeah.
And it kind of in one way is cool, and it, like, each element has their own like little thing that adds to the entertainment. But then you never really know who's the best. Like you can never really say, you're like, oh, this guy, he beat so and so, but yeah, but it was in EBI. Now they're gonna fight in IBJJF. So you can't really make a real prediction. Which having that kind of factor of not knowing in one way makes it interesting, but in another way it makes it, in my opinion, a little bit less professional.
Yeah.
But like, so yeah, I think that it's good to have, like, if you get people that have a lot of experience, like myself or like Heath or like anybody, John or whoever, like they can definitely come together, add value, build some sort of like universal structure, not even like a governing body, but like a rule set and a style that is both entertaining but crosses over to all different organizations in jiu-jitsu.
I think for me personally, if I had to pick one, it would probably be like no points. No points
Period.
Sub only.
Like WNO?
No rounds, yeah, but I also like the idea of the pit.
I've never I don't dislike the pit at all. I don't dislike cages.
Cage as
like
well.
One does the cage.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
ADXC
does the cage, yeah. Or otherwise the mat has to be just enormous.
Even you're gonna run out, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, ADCC in the finals. How many times did we get out off the mat?
Yeah, they had to reset you guys, and you had you have the whole T-Mobile Arena, man.
Yeah.
And then you guys still had to.
They should have kept it going on the side, because they should have just kept lights on the side mats and let it keep going.
On the strip.
Yeah.
All the way up to the strip. You know what I mean? No, I feel like it's something where you don't have to reset. Something without points where you can like see who the actual.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. That actually, the resets is one of the remember when you fought in trials?
Yeah.
20. Who was it against? Elijah.
Dorsey. Yeah.
That reset literally changed the match.
It did, man.
It literally changed the match.
I fell on like, imagine you and Giulio sitting, and I fall on you guys, and the guy keeps going for my back.
Yeah.
How can I move? How can I keep?
No, you can't.
At least like cage, there's a system to get up. The pit, it's like, okay, I'm used to, getting back up and things like that. But a human being, how do you practice grappling when you're on top of another human being when someone's behind you? It's pretty hard.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But I like what the UFC. I feel like now they're starting to sign exclusive guys, and you saw Dana talking about doing a reality TV show.
Yeah,
dude, I feel like if they really start to take over the way they say they're gonna take over, it might be the unifying like thing you're talking about.
I mean, yeah, they want to create their own rule set, which is fine. As long as the only issue that I have is there's so many different rule sets. I'd like to be, even if there's minor tweaks in the rule set, I wish that it was kind of similar, at least across the board. But also competition is just good, period. So if you have UFC, you have Flow, you have ADCC, you have CJI, you have fucking EBI, you have ONE, you have all these different organizations all trying to get guys. It helps the sport grow.
It does, for sure. Because
if you look at it, like in MMA, you got UFC, you got Bellator, and then like back in the day, you had Pride, you had WEC, you had fucking, what was the other one? Strike Force. Yeah, Strike Force. Yeah. So you get all these different guys that are signed to these different organizations, and everybody is like, okay, but I want to see Fedor fight, Cain Velasquez or Brock Lesnar, and then now all of a sudden you get this thing where it's like, okay, but who's really the best guy? Because this guy's fighting over here, this guy's fighting over there. Let's make a big match happen. It's more money, it's more eyes. So I think the same thing's kind of happening in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
If people start signing exclusive, I think it's only going to build up that scarcity of matches, which is good.
Yeah.
Like some people think it's bad. They're like, oh, this guy's going to fight for this organization, that guy's going to fight for another organization. Oh, we're never going to see those fights. Well, you can see them, and people are going to want to see them. And the longer it takes for people to see them, the more attention it builds, the more value you have to that match. Now you can build a big fight. That's what the UFC did. And then they started, they signed all these guys, then they started acquiring different organizations, buying people out from contracts to other, like Michael Chandler, when he was at Bellator, right? Michael Chandler? I think he was at Bellator.
Yeah.
And he was at Bellator for a long time, and then now he's in the UFC. Everybody wanted to see him fight the best guys in the UFC, and now he's there. You know, and he's had fucking crazy matches.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. So you don't think if everybody gets signed like exclusive in UFC, it'll be a good thing, huh?
No, I think it's a good thing for sure. I think any like, first of all, UFC has huge. I just don't think everybody in jiu-jitsu is gonna get signed to the UFC. So it's gonna leave room for, like, if a bunch of people sign to the UFC, now you got all these different guys in different weight classes that are. There's gonna be a ranking probably. So you got the number one guy in the ranking, and then you have let's say for example you have Mikey Musumeci that just signed to the UFC. Let's say he's dominating whatever weight class he's dominating.
Yeah.
And then let's say you go over to the only other organization that has exclusive contracts now is ONE. So let's say who's another guy who's in that weight class. Let's say Pato or Baby Shark.
Yeah.
Similar weight class, right? Let's say they're in two different opposing organizations and they've never competed against each other. This guy's winning in this organization. This guy's winning in another organization. Everybody's going to want to see that fight. Oh, I'm the champion here. You're the champion there. And then you have room and you have, like, attention for a big match to happen. Whereas if they all just sign up to random tournaments, then they're going to fight each other all the time and probably frequently. So you don't have the scarcity of those matches.
Yeah, I just see, like, the impact, like, anytime, you know, I like talk to teammates and, like, I get to know them and everything, like, a lot of times they get into jiu-jitsu through MMA, and I feel like UFC is the biggest one, you know?
100%.
So I feel like, imagine UFC actually putting that much, like, big of an investment into it, how much Asa was bringing. Like, we've been to the, what was it called, the PI?
Yeah, the PI and the Apex.
That's so professional.
They do the fights at the Apex.
Yeah, when we compete, we do the matches in the Apex.
Yeah.
But then the PI, where we go train,
Yeah,
they have
crazy.
a hyperbaric chamber. Yeah. They have the ice bath.
You love that shit.
They got the sauna. You go out. They have throwing supplements. All you can eat, man.
Yeah.
It's so cool, man. It's that level of professionalism, man. I love that. I love that.
Would you like to sign an exclusive deal at some point?
I thought about it, you know. Like, I'm like, it would be sick, you know, to you know, represent, like, let's say UFC or, you know, Flow Grappling or whatever the case may be. One, I tried, you know, like, one hit me up, and several times, you know, Leo Vieira was running the jiu-jitsu program or whatever they call it, and it didn't seem too, like, I wasn't too pumped about it, you know, because they're like, oh, well, you can't fight anywhere else.
Yeah.
You can't fight anywhere else. It's in Asia. And then the timing of it was weird. Like, they're hitting me up like 2 weeks before the match where you have to go to Asia, and then you have to fight, let's say, their champion. So it'd be one of the Rotolos.
Yeah.
It was Thai, and I'm like, yo, this is short notice.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready for it. And then this is the second time you guys hit me up at a time where it's not very favorable for me.
Yeah.
Now, let's say the match doesn't go my way. Now I'm stuck. You guys are not going to be down to get me a match because I didn't put on the best performance I can. Like, kind of what you were mentioning earlier, like picking your shots.
It's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if they did the same with Musumeci. It doesn't seem like it. Like, Musumeci,
No,
like...
I got contacted by ONE several times this year and last year with Leo, and now it's Tom that's doing it. The Blast.
Nice. Okay.
So I don't know what happened to Leo, but I guess he's not there anymore. So maybe it's different now, but, like, it's there's pros and cons, right? Because if you want to sign exclusive, because I don't think any organization, like if Flow or UFC, they're doing exclusive contracts, they're not going to want you to fight anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of the exclusive, right? They want, if you have a fan base, they want your fan base to follow you to UFC Fight Pass or to ONE FC or to Flow or to whoever.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to draw in views for them. So in that aspect, it's good for them. On your side, you might not be able to compete as frequently, or you might, like, if they do a lot of shows. But so there's pros and cons to it. I think like having something that is like consistent, where you can fight, you know, in fucking February, April, June, you know, August, whatever, at the same place, the same rule set, the same time limits, the same price too. Because that's another thing you got to factor in is like, okay, how many tournaments do I have to run through to make fucking 10K here, 5K there, 20K here? Now I got to go into a bracket that's for fucking $40,000.
Yeah.
So this is it's all kind of mixed up, and it's a lot of like what ifs.
Yeah.
Whereas like having structure and having something like, so the UFC obviously is like super established brand.
Yeah.
So they have like that marketing power and that structure that you know that they can, handle.
Yeah.
Same thing with ONE, same thing with, you know, to a certain degree flow. So that there's value to that structure and that stability. Whereas if you can go to other tournaments and it's like that tournament, you don't know when they're going to do shows.
Yeah, I know.
Man, EBI disappeared for how long? And then now they're starting to come back, but the shows are much smaller scale than they used to be.
Way smaller.
Way smaller. Like EBI used to have huge shows.
Yeah.
Now they're doing them, you know, and like when I fought EBI, it was like in a tiny, I did it twice actually, but still it was in like small, like not so great venues.
It was, by the airport, that cowboy ranch thing.
That one here, and then when I did the Absolute, it was in El Paso, like literally, like fucking right on the border. Like you could fucking throw a stone and be in Mexico.
Yeah.
But they only did it there because, from what I understand, they didn't need to be sanctioned to do combat.
Oh, fuck.
So they could do it there because they didn't have to worry about like licenses or anything for combat jiu-jitsu.
Dude, that was wild. Like it did it outdoor too.
It was outdoor, yeah.
Yeah, I was rewatching because I'm getting ready for EBI rule set. I'm watching OT and everything, and I'm watching like, you know, how guys are, what their strategy is. I'm seeing like crickets flying onto the mat.
There's lights. It was in the middle of the night. There's lights on the mat. You got bugs on the mat. If the wind blew, you had fucking desert sand coming in your eyes. It was fucking.
That's crazy. Yeah, we don't factor in these things, you know, like when you're grappling. But like I was hearing Dana White, and they keep asking like, hey, you ever gonna do events outdoor and things like that, like in stadiums? You know, they talk about going to Madrid, doing it in the Bernabeu, you know, like for the Ilya Topuria fight. It's like, no, like shit like this can happen.
Yeah, it could rain.
For combat sports, like you don't want to like, you know, have these factors. If you're looking at, you know, soccer or American football,
they play in the rain all the time.
They practice outside.
Snow,
Yeah, they practice. Like if the grass is wet, let's say you pass the ball and it slides faster, or like there's a wind, like you can tell which direction is going. You know, you can factor all these things in, but combat sports you can't. But you know what? Like when ONE hit me up, it was kind of a learning experience, because usually like everything's learning experience over time. You know, I'm learning like how to pick my shots. We talk about it. But like it taught me like to go over a contract, like to actually like hit up a lawyer.
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
go over because jiu-jitsu guys like is you know, we don't see it, we don't look at it in a professional way. Let's say as like an MMA fighter would.
No.
And I feel it's good. It's taking it in that direction. You know, like I never thought one day I'd be reading a freaking 10. I mean, I'm not reading it. The lawyer is, but like he's going over a 10-page contract with me and be like, yo, be careful of this.
Yeah.
Be careful of that. Ask them about this.
Yeah.
Ask them about that. So like, you know, if, you know, it's not something like we usually think of, but it's good because it's going to teach grapplers more about being athletes, being professionals. Because those sports like pretty amateur still. Not as much as like 5 years ago. I mean, you've been around longer. You can tell me, but
no, it's still. I think we're just starting to scratch the surface of being mainstream.
Yeah.
Like if you're getting interest from the UFC, which is one of the biggest sports not just combat sports, but sports organizations in the world. Period.
Yeah. That
means something. You know, but we're scratching the surface. We're not we're not up there yet. But it's being recognized. Like people know what jiu-jitsu is because of the UFC, because of MMA.
Yeah.
And then because of MMA, people are starting to practice jiu-jitsu. But now the question is, I think what makes it mainstream is if you got guys that don't practice that want to go there and watch just because they like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you have just like, look at the MMA fan base, look at the football, like American football fan base, or even, European football, right? The real football.
The real football.
Soccer.
Yeah, man.
Il
That's
calcio.
the real calcio. Ma che cazzo, il calcio.
Those guys don't play, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
they go there and they watch.
That's true. I think with these athletes nowadays that, all these nerds that have access to all these instructionals that are learning, that are coming up fast, really good, like you see more and more guys get good really fast. See these young kids coming up, freaking 17, they're already crushing it,
Yeah.
It's making it more entertaining. It's making it more fun,
Yeah.
I feel like let's say in boxing, how many punches you have? Like 6 punches, 6 different kind of punches.
Yeah.
It's like jiu-jitsu, I feel like needs to be seen that way. Like, oh, this game fits here, fits there. This kind of technique is being used here and there. Like that general understanding, once everybody has it, I feel like it's going to become like that. Like people are just going to be at a level where it's super entertaining for everyone to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like this will make people want to watch it more if they're not like into the sport. Like if you see someone from his butt, like get underneath a guy, spin him, take his back, like hit like a bolo, crab ride, strangle. Because someone who doesn't understand can be like, yo, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like a flying armbar, it's still gonna look cool. You know what I mean? Or some guy ripping on someone's foot. Like even, someone who doesn't understand jiu-jitsu can look at it and be like, yo, this is pretty cool. Like, what was that? Let me watch it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think it'll reach like the slap. What's it called?
Power slap.
Power slap. It's not gonna be like that. I think nothing's
Yeah,
gonna be
there's
like
nothing
power
like
slap,
that.
dude.
The thing about
Yeah.
power slap is that it's literally like everybody knows what's happening and they just want to see what happens after they slap the dude.
I feel like there's also this element where you kind of know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you're watching it, this guy's gonna drop. I feel like it makes the fan watch it and be like, I know what I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
I can expect what I'm gonna get. It's like when you rewatch a movie.
Yeah.
I know you have. What's a movie you rewatch like more than once?
Fuck, tons of them.
Which one?
I don't know. Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Okay.
That's one of the top ones.
Very good, yeah. So yeah, you have this element of like, yo, I know it's gonna happen. So this is like, I don't know, it gets people wanting to watch it more, But I thought about it, like, if I had to pick one, which one would I sign with? Like if I had to pick one, because I saw Musumeci, I hear him on the Ariel Helwani show. I'm like, man, this is cool. Like, and they're talking about all these things. I'm like, if it happens to me,
Yeah.
Which one I pick? I'd probably be like UFC for sure. I love Ricardo. I love Flow Grappling. I love ONE. I like the shows that they do shows in Austin and everything. But I feel like just being signed by the UFC is nice. Not only that, like for me, there's Polaris in London.
Yeah.
You've been on Polaris. You see how professional it is.
Yeah, Relentless is a good show.
So if I'm doing a Fight Pass Invitational, I'm doing a Polaris, I'm doing a Submission Hunter Pro, let's say smaller local event, let's say to get me ready for them, I feel like I'm not saying I will, but it would probably be UFC for now,
Would you, but one thing you gotta also factor in is what's the most appealing thing about the UFC to you? Is it just the branding of the UFC? What if you get better offers from other promotions, would you not sign with them, even though that would be the biggest one?
You gotta look at money. Money can definitely be a factor. Obviously, like the roster, who's signed. Like when hit me up, I'm like, okay, so who do you guys have on the roster? It was not really anybody. It was Tommy
Yeah.
Langacker.
Yeah.
That's it. I haven't seen him fight like since.
Dante just signed UFC. Marcelo signed with ONE FC.
That's crazy.
That's so crazy.
Him coming back to competition is crazy.
Yeah.
You think that he's actually gonna fight, or he's gonna be
Probably.
like
It looks like he's training
in Hawaii?
in Hawaii. Yeah.
You've been in Hawaii, no?
Yeah, I have.
You guys did a camp in Hawaii, no?
He's on Oahu. Yeah, we did the camp in Kauai. That was the first one.
Is that where it was?
The first one was on Kauai. Kauai is it's not the smallest island, but it's like one of the smaller ones. I think it's the oldest island, from what I understand. Like, I think I heard that. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Kauai was the oldest island. But it's definitely the most of like the main islands outside of like Lanai and some of the like other smaller ones. Like of the main like tourist islands, it's like the least touristy, and also I think the least tourist friendly, and the most like rugged, like rural. It's like jungle. There's one road.
I love that.
That goes through the whole island, and it doesn't even circle the whole island. So you like it starts at the airport, you go south, you go to the south side, you go all the way around to the top, you go to the north, and then it stops at the Nepali coast, and there's like mountains and shit, and then you have that whole west side of the island is like the Nepali coast, which is incredible. It's like one of the most beautiful things you can ever see.
Sick.
And you can only access it by boat, by helicopter, or like by foot or horseback or something.
The horseback.
Because you can't take cars there. There's no roads.
Wow.
And it's just straight up mountains. So if you want to go back, you have to come all the way back around.
Oof.
Yeah.
What?
And then there's like small little roads that go into like the neighborhoods and stuff, but it's not like there's no highways, there's no fucking
tolls and shit.
Yeah, no, none of that. There's just one main road, goes all the way around the island, comes all the way back. It's like a horseshoe, like this.
That's crazy.
And
so that's not where Marcelo is.
No, he's on Oahu.
Oahu is another island.
Oahu is like where Honolulu is. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's one of the main islands.
His gym looks sick, man.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of it, and it's like small videos on Instagram. It looks cool.
What about Bernardo? You think Bernardo's gonna? Because Bernardo trained at Marcel's for a while, man.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna go, no?
To Hawaii?
Yeah.
To visit, probably.
Yeah. Would you go with him?
Fuck yeah.
Really?
I'll go to Hawaii anytime, bro. Hawaii is like literally one of the most insane places I've ever been.
Really?
Like, yeah, Hawaii, there's nothing like it.
Damn, because weren't you like just in Sardinia?
Sardinia was cool. Very different vibe than Hawaii. Like, beach places, I think like where you go, there's some similarities, right? You get like, there's always like that beach town kind of feel to it. But Hawaii is like, I don't know, bro. I went to Hawaii the first time, and I went to 3 islands. I went to Oahu first. I went to the Big Island, and then I went to Kauai. Kauai was probably my favorite. It was small. It was rural. It was very like tribal kind of mindset. Like people are like on the island. They love the island. They don't like outsiders.
Damn.
And I think a lot of Hawaii is like that, but like if you go to the bigger ones, like for example, Maui, which I didn't go to, resorts, people go there, they take their kids on vacation, they buy timeshares and shit like that. They're more used to it. I think it's more, they've just gotten used to that, culture, right?
Yeah.
Celebrities have their houses there and stuff like that. I mean, fucking Zuckerberg has a house on Kauai.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the locals don't like it.
They don't like it? Why? Because from what I understand, he bought like 1,400 acres over the course of several years. Like so a house would be for sale, he would buy it, he would buy it, he would buy it. So he would buy all these lots on the beach. And I think the thing that really pissed people off was, and they did like articles about this, was that he built a wall on his property. So the houses on the other side of the road, they can't see the beach anymore because of the wall and of all the construction.
People's ancestral land that lived there for
Yeah, and that's
years suddenly.
Of course, they're not gonna like outsiders.
well,
man.
that's the thing is because
course,
Hawaii,
if they do
like I
shit
said,
like
it's very like culturally like deep. Like Hawaiian people are like they don't. Even though it's America, I'm Hawaiian, and then even you go even deeper, it's like I'm from this part of Hawaii, or I'm from that part of the Hawaii, or even if you're on Kauai, I'm a north guy, I'm a south guy, so it's very much like tribal mindset, which is cool, but then you got fucking tech billionaire comes in, starts buying people out of all their properties, and he's like doing whatever he wants, which is fine, like that's he bought it, you know what I mean, but people are pissed about it.
Dude, I don't even knew where to start.
Dude, Oprah owns like a shit ton of property in Maui. There's a bunch of other people. Like all the islands are like, I think a lot of the islands are owned like extremely, extremely rich people. They come and they buy up like a shit ton of the property.
Damn.
But Kauai in particular, I noticed was much more rooted in that like ancestral tribal mindset for sure, which I thought was cool. Like that's what I like about traveling to different places is seeing like what's the real culture like here. Nothing against like the other islands that are more like tourist friendly, and there's a lot of people from all over the world that own houses there and they vacation and et cetera, but they're kind of more used to that. And I don't think that the culture is lost, but I think it's definitely more like like they have their own little space. It's not everywhere. Like on Kauai, I felt like it was more spread out throughout the island.
Yeah.
Which was cool. And it's like, man, it's just beautiful. Like it's so, the nature is like, the nature's insane, from the ocean to like the jungles. There's beautiful hikes, waterfalls, all sorts of cool shit.
Damn.
You go to the beach and you can like see whales and dolphins like all the time.
What?
Like just big ass humpback whales.
To the beach, huh?
Yeah, in the beach. You go out, you look out on the horizon, and then if you look out long enough, you'll just see a whale.
Wow.
You go under. You literally go. You go from the sand. You swim out, to where you can swim in the water,
No
maybe
way.
20 feet.
No way.
You go underwater, and if you can hear the whales.
I'm not swimming in that water, man.
No, the water is beautiful. No, they're far out.
They're far out, but you see these videos sometimes, these whales and these sharks, they're getting close, no?
The whales aren't gonna eat you. Whales
How do
aren't
you
gonna
know,
eat you.
man? What
No.
if there's like a scarcity of, I don't know, whatever they eat?
The only time I've seen whales eat people is when they come up to eat like the, whatever they eat, the krill or whatever, and there's a kayak, and you seen that video?
I haven't, but
There's
I
a
don't
video
want to see it.
of a person on a kayak. A whale comes up to eat because they eat like the little fish or krill,
Oh, yeah.
and it swallows the kayak,
Oh, my God.
but then it spit it out.
It spit the human back out.
Yeah, they don't want to eat a fucking kayak.
Why not? Extra good for their cartilage. I don't know, man. That's wild. Okay,
Yeah.
so they don't eat human beings. They'll spit you back out, huh?
But I did scuba diving there for the first time. I got scuba certified, and like the reefs are incredible. The water's super clear most of the time. Turtles, like everything, bro. It's just,
Damn.
it's different than any other place. Sardinia was really, really cool. The food, obviously, in Italy, but in Sardinia especially, like the Sardinian cuisine is very unique. So like that's like what I was talking about. So like I like going to different places, and I love America, and I love living here. I love living in Texas, and I love Texas culture. We got guns.
Happy Thanksgiving, by
We
the
got
way.
happy Thanksgiving. We got everything, dude, and it's got its own culture here too, Texas.
Yeah.
Julio's out there fucking roasting a turkey,
Let's go. Stuffing the turkey. Too.
yeah.
Look at him.
Cutting some rosemary for the turkey.
What a legend. What a legend, this guy.
But like, if you go to Italy, you've been to Italy
Yeah.
a bunch of times.
100%.
You go to Rome, it's one type of food, one type of cuisine. You go
Yeah,
to
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
Milan, it's different. You go to Sardinia, totally different. Sicily, totally different. And it's just, yeah, man, I like that. But then I'm away long enough. I like to experience that, take that in, and then I want to come back here.
You know what? In Italy is a little bit similar to what you described in Hawaii, where like in northern Italy, there are one kind, like certain kind of people.
Yeah.
In the south, there's certain kind of people. Like
Yeah.
I feel like the northern part is a little bit more industrial, no?
I haven't spent a lot of time in the north of Italy, so I don't know. Like, I've never been to Milan, for example.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been one time to the Dolomites in a small town. It was called, I think, Belluno.
Belluno.
Yeah, I don't
I've
remember.
heard of
Small
Belluno.
little town, dude. Like in the mountains, like high up in the mountains. Like the roads are like up and down like this.
Sick.
When you drive on the highway, it's like carving the side of the mountain to where you could literally look off the edge and it's a fucking drop
love
off.
that,
Yeah.
love that, love
It's
that.
like way up there. Dolomites, by the way, one of the most beautiful. I mean, you're from Canada. You've seen like beautiful mountains over there.
Yeah, Lebanon too, man.
Yeah,
Lebanon.
yeah.
We have the same kind of roads where
Yeah.
like we're driving, and then like there's a lot of like beautiful nature in Lebanon, a lot of mountains,
Yeah.
and it's like small country by the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So you see the beach, you see the mountains.
Yeah.
It's very nice, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure when you went to Israel, you saw a little bit of that same landscape, no?
Yeah, well, Israel was more desert, like more desert landscape. I don't know how it is in Lebanon.
Lebanon, no, not that much desert. Actually, I think Lebanon is the only Arab country that doesn't have desert, I think.
Okay, so Israel was more like hot desert, dry weather.
Oh, damn.
Still nice. Like
Yeah,
Tel
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Aviv, you're right on the Mediterranean, so it's like obviously the Mediterranean is beautiful.
Yeah.
I had some of the best food that I ever ate there.
Yeah. I remember even Gordon was like, when he came down to visit at TriStar, I think Faraz or George took him to one of the best Lebanese restaurants in Montreal, La Sirène. And he's like, bro, this is the best food I've ever had. And Gordon, like coming from Jersey, like is before he became who he is now, he hasn't like at that point he had not tried like that many foods,
No,
and like,
yeah.
and he was like closed-minded. Like he'll eat only his butter roll from Sunoco,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, or his chicken parm roll from the deli, you know what I mean. So he's like, he was open-minded enough to try that food and he liked it. So the food in that part of the world, man.
But Middle Eastern street food is probably some of the best food on the planet. Like you can't get so even he told me when I was in Israel, he texted me during when I was in Israel and we had the missile strike.
Yo, that's crazy.
People are texting me, oh my God. You know the first guy that texted me? Like literally as the first missiles were coming, we were going to the bunker. Big Dan.
Big Dan, huh?
He's like, oh my God, man, I saw what's happening. Are you okay? He was like, let me know if I can do anything, blah, blah, blah. He was the first guy that texted me was Big Dan. So shout out Big Dan.
Shout out to Big Dan.
So like 1 or 2 days later, I get a text from Gordon. He's like, how's Israel? The food there is incredible. Some of the best food I ever had.
Yeah.
No mention about the fucking missile strikes
Dude,
at all.
no, for sure.
But I wasn't like, I'm not even actually just saying this. I wasn't at all concerned about it for multiple reasons. One, there's the Iron Dome. So even when they get shot at in the past, the missiles don't usually land.
Okay.
Because they get intercepted beforehand.
Yeah.
But everybody there was so calm.
Yeah, but
that I'm like, all right, we're good.
They're used. It's their normal. Even in Lebanon. Like, in Lebanon, like I'm talking to my uncle. And he's in Lebanon.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, yeah, I'm traveling to Mexico to go teach. It was like I did a camp in Mexico where you were too.
Yeah.
He's like, they're getting bombarded in Lebanon.
Yeah.
They're getting hit and everything.
Yeah.
He lives there. He's like, please be careful. The cartel, be careful. This guy.
Yeah.
What do you mean be careful? But you're the one who's in a country where there's war right now.
There's literally a war happening.
And they don't care. It's like they're normal, man.
They're just so accustomed to it. Even in Mexico, like when I was there the last time I told you before we got on here.
Yeah.
There was a shooting like the morning of.
Yeah.
And I told the guys, and then they're just like, we just had one 2 weeks ago. Like it was.
Jesus.
It was just totally fine.
Man. I feel like you just get like freaking just. It becomes your new normal. You like just find ways to just live with it. Be grateful no matter what, you know.
But people were so calm about it. And I was like, yeah, that's whatever. You can hear bombs blowing up in the sky. Mm-hmm. It was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The like fireworks. It sounded like fireworks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like it was a cool experience. You know what I mean?
How'd you feel? Like no concern, huh?
So we're in the stairwell. And everybody has to be in this bunker, but the bunker was full, so we just started like loading up the stairwell, so probably like 3 flights up.
Oof.
And people were asking me jiu-jitsu questions.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm doing a Q&A in the fucking
Q&A,
I'm doing a
dude.
Q&A while the bombs are going off, dude. It was pretty cool. And
Business.
people loved it, dude. They were super happy. And then so we had to cancel the seminar because it was at night.
Yeah.
And it was on a rooftop. So bad location in case shit goes down.
Yeah, you're the first to get hit.
So people came from all over the country. I think there was like 120 people.
Nice, man.
And then the guy was like, yeah, we got to cancel it. It's not safe, blah, blah, blah. So we leave. And so I told him, hey, if tomorrow it's fine, let's do the seminar tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so we had like half the amount of people because everybody went to their own cities.
Understandable.
And it was a holiday too. So people were with their families and stuff like that. It was like their New Year's.
Yeah.
But we still had like 60 people. And
that's freaking good,
it was
man.
Still good.
Yeah.
And then they were like super appreciative, obviously. They're like, bro, you came here during the worst possible time you could come here. Mm-hmm. Did a seminar and you stayed. And then I was stuck there for the whole like 3-4 days after.
Did you celebrate?
We couldn't get any fights. Yes. So I had to stay in the guy that was hosting me's apartment.
Yeah.
So his family's over. They're feeding us like, I'm getting fucking stuffed like a turkey, bro. Like eating
Shout
so
out to
much
Egidio,
food.
stuffing turkeys.
Yeah. So we're eating like day and night to the point that like I can't eat. So like I'm sure Lebanese are like this too. Italians are like this.
100%.
Latin Americans are like this. If you go to somebody's house, you have to eat. If you deny them food, they're like disrespected.
Dude, 100%.
You have to eat.
You're eating for them, not for you. And
Not for me. I'm like, dude, I cannot physically eat more food. My stomach is out to here, and it's a holiday, so everything's closed. You can't go out, can't go to the gym, can't do anything.
Nothing.
No cars are on the street. Stores are closed. Everything. So you eat a shit ton of food, and then you just sit in the house all day.
Yeah.
And then you got to get ready for the next meal.
Yeah.
So the wife is in there cooking the whole time. getting ready for the next meal. The family comes back. So after the second day, I was like, dude, I literally cannot eat food unless I go to the gym and I have to work out. Like I have to do something. I have to train. I have to walk. I have to do something.
You can't go outside because it's war.
No, I can go outside. No, so after the bombing, like the next day was like nothing happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I said, like you said, in Lebanon, in Mexico, they're used to it. They're
used,
just
man.
super relaxed.
Yeah.
So I digress, but another thing that was funny is one of the guys that was there at the holiday, he told me, he said the last time we had a missile strike, so this time when they shot him, it was ballistic missiles, so they came fast. So they traveled, I don't know in how many minutes they were there. Normally the regular missiles, like Iran to Israel is far. So it takes a couple hours for them to get there with just like a conventional airstrike. But like with the ballistic missiles, they're fucking fast.
You said a couple of hours?
Yeah, so like 2 hours maybe. So he's like, I was at my buddy's house. We get an alert on our phone. Hey, missile strike coming. So he was like, okay, I guess I gotta go. So he's literally there. They were drinking, like having a drink, like having a beer. He finishes the beer.
Step one,
Finish the beer.
Kill
All right,
the beer.
bro, see you. Be safe, this and that. He goes to the grocery store, gets some groceries, water, like stuff like that. Like, so he's like running errands and shit. And then he goes home and then they get in the bunker. And then like an hour later, the thing came. It was over, and then they were back to normal.
so that's how they know.
It's just they're just accustomed to like that, which is on one end it's really sad, but on another end it's like you got to respect that.
For sure,
you know what I
dude.
mean? Because you just get you, and it's just like people here don't understand. In the U.S., you lived all over the world: Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Canada. I lived here my whole life, but I traveled to other places, Brazil. Like I've been to third world countries.
Yeah.
You don't know unless you're there, and you can't appreciate what you have unless you see what other people live through.
100%, man.
You know what I mean?
100%, yeah. So that's how they know where the missile's gonna strike. So I was like following this guy on Instagram. He's a Lebanese influencer, and he's posting clip like, oh, they're gonna bombard this place in this building in a couple of hours, and then they evacuate and they go and they see the building getting blown up and shit.
Yeah.
Like, how'd they know? So they know, they can track it and then things like that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, there's a bunch of technology. I don't know specifically like I know about like the technology to intercept the missiles as they come in. So once they start getting close, they can get shot out. But I don't know if they can know where specifically they're gonna land unless they have that information beforehand.
That's crazy.
But yeah, there's a shit ton of
That's crazy.
like
military
technology.
At least now we're talking about it. At least it's pretty much done, ceasefire yesterday.
Yeah, that's
you
good.
know, that's good. Hopefully next step in Gaza, it stops as well.
Yeah.
But shout out to Trump, no? You think he's making the difference or what?
The Donald, bro. The Donald
dance. I'm sure a lot of Lebanese people are doing the Donald dance right now.
Yeah.
and
Well,
people in the
so
Middle East.
interestingly enough, when I was in all those other countries, I met a lot of people. Like in Israel, obviously the majority is they're Jewish.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of Muslims.
Yeah.
Like I told you, a lot of Christians.
Yeah.
But I met a lot. Like in Europe, there's a lot of Muslims.
Yeah.
And it would either come up in conversation, or I would ask them either Muslim or whatever, white people, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And I was actually astonished by the amount of people that were pro-Trump.
Yeah.
Because they thought both on the Arab side and just on the regular like European side. And then there was a lot of people that, had varying opinions, but I would say that the most part were actually pro-Trump. And their whole thing was they believed that the conflict would diminish and would de-escalate if he was in office.
Yeah.
And literally the day that he was elected, immediately there was already conversations about, ceasefires and negotiations and blah, blah, blah. So there's definitely an influence. I always believed that for foreign affairs, like things like that, that was one of Trump's strong suits.
Yeah.
He didn't start any wars, and there was more stability in those parts of the world than there ever has been.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I think that it was definitely a good thing for sure.
Because he's relying on different kinds of like businesses and different kinds of like income streams for what's it called, for the country, no?
I mean, the thing is, like, I think that the role of a good leader is to avoid international conflict.
Yeah.
So whatever he can do, or whatever anyone can do to avoid a war, like wars, number one, are incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Apart from just being fucking crazy dangerous and terrible to civilization, it's fucking crazy expensive. So even on a financial side, like not having a war is a good thing.
Yeah. It's like you gotta buy like ammo, you gotta buy guns.
Yeah, you spend a shit ton of money, and like the U.S. already spends a shit ton of money. Like what is it, like 50% or more
50 more, yeah.
on
55%.
on the military.
55% on military.
Yeah,
Damn.
Of our entire budget.
of the entire budget. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, that could go to
and
other
we're
things,
fucking
man.
trillions in debt, so it's a lot of money. But like, but nobody wants war.
No, man.
Nobody wants war. Actually, there are people that want war, but
The ones that just want to sell, you know, they're gonna make profit out of it. They're gonna
Yeah.
benefit from it. Just like,
Yeah.
you know, the pharmaceutical, you know, that lied in a way, like to get people to buy vaccines and things like
Yeah.
that. And I think those two kind of were from the same team, you know, like
Yeah.
the same. I'm not saying I don't know anything about politics and everything.
There's definitely big players. I think that there's two sides to that sort of argument. There's big players and like internal coercion, and then I think that there's also a lot of small moving factors that play there's like a ripple effect of a role. So there's people that believe that there's like a handful of people at the top that are making all these decisions that, you know, are conspiring to do this, that, and the other for their benefit, and then, you know, that's gonna have a negative impact on the rest.
Yeah.
And then, but I think that there's probably two sides to there's probably two sides to that coin, where I think it's a combination of there are major decision makers that want wars and that want fucking, you know, things like that for their benefit.
Yeah.
And then there's probably a lot of little players that are making a bunch of bad decisions that are having a ripple effect as well, that it's like a bunch of small decisions make one big mess.
Really.
So I think that there's probably a little bit of both of that, or a lot of both of that playing.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it plays out with Trump. I mean, I think that a lot of people are happy. There's definitely a lot of people that are pissed.
Yeah.
But I think there's like you've already seen a lot of fucking positives. I'm sure Giulio's been happy about his stocks in crypto, bro, in the last couple of days. I already been throwing some money at that Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, you're buying or you're taking out right now?
No. I'm buying.
Buying in because you think it's gonna go up even more?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because Bitcoin has been going up like crazy, you know?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I would have done it 10 years ago.
Yeah, John was saying like when he heard about it first, I was like pennies, and now it's like freaking almost 100.
I think it was like less than a penny in 2008 or 9, whenever it started.
God, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then, now we're at fucking 95K, almost 100K.
But you see Trump hanging out with, what's his name? Elon Musk a lot. Like when he walked out when he did the walkout at the John Jones card in New York, the state that he lost, no? He lost that state,
He lost
no?
New York, yeah, New Jersey.
Yeah, and then everybody was cheering him on like crazy. Yeah. Like you hear like I got goosebumps. I'm not even American.
He lost, but it was really close.
Yeah, and then like he walked out, and then people were cheering like crazy, even
Yeah.
louder than for some of the fighters. You know what I mean? But
He has a huge UFC fan base, though. I think everybody that likes UFC, for the most part, loves Trump.
Yeah.
Because he's like a huge UFC supporter.
And like all the fighters would go and like the first thing they would do, they'd win, they'd like point at Trump, or they'd jump, they'd go shake his hand and something like that.
My buddy was at the event, and he said that when, you know, you get John Jones walked out, everybody was going crazy. All these different fighters came out, like, you know, during the crazy fights, the crowd was going wild, and et cetera, so it was loud. But when Trump walked out, it literally felt like the fucking building was gonna collapse. Like it was so loud when he came out, the roof was gonna fucking, like the place was vibrating.
That's crazy.
Like
man.
you get knockouts and people go crazy. You get fucking big fighters coming out, walking out, you know, winning, doing all this, you know, putting on exciting fights, etc. And people go crazy. He said when Trump walked out, he never heard it that loud.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang. But it's good to see him with Elon, because Elon, like his motives seem pretty like his motives honestly seem pretty genuine. Like when he bought X, it was previously Twitter.
Yeah.
Like his main motive was like, but they're censoring people.
Yeah.
They're doing things to like block real information.
Yeah.
You know, and then like I don't know what it was. I heard it on the Joe Rogan Experience. He was talking about like there's like a place where you can go and like get like real information about what's going on. It's free and it's accessible, and like they were blocking that. So like I feel like if Elon is hanging around Trump, I feel like his motives, like his kind of like goals, is kind of gonna wear off on Trump. It's probably a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's basically on Trump's cabinet now.
What does that mean?
Like he's basically, so Elon's role, I think this is his only role really in the political side, is the Doge.
Yeah.
What is that, Doge?
It's like an unofficial, unappointed.
Yeah, it's like exactly. So it's not like he's not like appointed to anything, but what he's gonna be in charge of is basically, and it's gonna be like a limited time frame. I think they said they want to finish the department in 2 years, but I think they wanted the cutoff date to be 4th of July. I thought I heard that, like it was like I like intentionally did that to make it on the 4th of July, but it's going to be like a limited time frame, and what they want to do essentially is just cut down on useless government spending and useless government jobs. So go in, like assess everything, like do we really need this department, do we really need that department, how much money is going here, how much money is going there, to cut down unnecessary government spending, which is always good. Like if you're running a business, you want to cut down on spending.
100%.
Right? Your expenses are too high. That's not a good thing. Your business isn't making money.
For sure.
If the U.S. is a business, it's not making money.
Yeah.
They got a lot of fucking debt. And so, like, I think that the intention for sure is huge. And I think the intentions across the board are all very good. It's just a question of how much can they actually get done in the time that they have available.
Yeah. Because I feel also like, you know, like you talk about censoring and everything, like if he can have an impact on things like, you know, Instagram and Facebook where they censor and everything, but then that's owned by, you know, we mentioned him, Zuckerberg.
Yeah,
you know?
I think Zuck kind of flipped to the Trump side. I don't know, he hasn't endorsed anybody, but it seems as though he's been leaning a little bit more towards that way. Maybe it's because of fear, because now he's in power, so he can... he could do stuff. So who knows? Meta is definitely one of the worst for censorships. I mean, Twitter was really bad. Yeah. And I think that, and I never really used Twitter.
Yeah, me neither.
But like, that's the whole thing, right? It was just preserving people being able to say what they want to say.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and the thing that Elon says, which makes a lot of sense, is that free speech is only valid if you hear the things you don't want to hear. And they, like, if you only heard the free speech that you wanted to hear and you were never upset about what anybody said, then there's no free speech. You know what I mean? Point. Free speech is like me saying something and you saying something that I don't agree with, and us being able to argue about it or discuss it, and we could finish the discussion and still disagree, but it's free speech. Yeah. But if I say something and you disagree with it and you just can't say what you really want to say because it might offend me or it might get you in trouble, then that's not free speech.
That sucks, man.
And in the fucking UK, people are getting arrested for that shit.
That's insane, dude. Yeah. I heard about it. But I remember during ADCC camp, I had a friend over, and I'm like asking, like, hey, who's going to be in ADCC? I'm trying to show her you guys. I'm trying to show, like, the team that's going. I'll put your whole name, and I wouldn't find you.
Yeah, for no reason, because I don't even post political stuff.
Exactly.
So, like, it's just... And I think there's part of that, which is even by association.
100%.
Because I have a lot of people, like, so there's even accounts that I follow or people that I know that post political stuff that goes against what Meta or whatever these other people that control that would like people to see.
Yeah.
And I think even by association, they'll shadow ban you.
That's insane,
Yeah,
dude.
like I had a guy that had to do the exact same thing that you said, and this has been going on for months. So you told me that right before ADCC. Cody told me that, our buddy. Had a couple other people. One guy said that he had to go to somebody that he knew that I followed, that followed me rather, somebody that he knew that followed me to their page and scroll through all of the followings to find me.
Wow.
And then another person, same thing. He's like, I had to find a picture that somebody posted that tagged you in it in order to find your Instagram.
Madness.
What the fuck?
Madness,
Yeah.
man. Like you have who? You have like people like Tim Kennedy.
Yeah.
You know that you're associated
Heavily
with.
censored. He's heavily censored.
Yeah. And then his motives are like, what are his motives? Like they're pretty good. He's not trying to like ruin anybody's.
No, not at all.
At the contrary, he's
And
trying
what's
to help.
crazy
no?
about Tim is that he is obviously like a public figure, but he doesn't actually identify with any one side. He's clearly said on multiple cases that he's an independent. He's a kind of like central politically. He just cares about freedom,
Yeah.
and then they still censor him.
That's insane, man. That sucks because like.
And he posts about it every time. Every time his post gets taken down, he always screenshots it. He puts it on his feed. He puts it on his stories, and he fucking blasts them about censorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild, dude.
But I think with, like we said, like with Elon being around, buying X, I feel like now they don't have the choice because now they see like, oh, well, this platform is, I can say whatever I want. This one I can't. Maybe I start switching and everything. So they kind of have to adjust now, I feel.
Yeah.
They don't have
YouTube
the choice.
is just as bad, by the way.
100%. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I know. I did this course like in YouTube automation and things like that. After ADCC, I just wanted to get my mind off jiu-jitsu a bit. And yeah, the guide, like the copyright and then all this is huge. There's so many things you can't say, you can't do. They're like...
On YouTube, I post a bunch of content, jiu-jitsu content mainly. And I do shorts, right?
Okay.
YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
And so one day I posted a short of me going out to the range and shooting. And so like a week or two later, I click on my shorts just to see them. And when you look at the shorts, it tells you how many views on the corner of each short.
Yeah.
So I'll have a bunch of videos and it's like one is like, 30,000 views, 10,000 views, whatever. I look at the one of me shooting, it's like 300 views. So,
Yeah.
and I didn't get flagged. I didn't get any sort of notification about it, but it was clearly suppressed to where like they didn't want basically firearms or guns related content coming out.
Yeah, that's obvious. Yeah. No, that's pretty common.
Yeah.
I see that. Yeah.
You can't even say the word guns
Or kill.
or gun on like if somebody's reviewing a pistol, like there's a lot of gun channels on YouTube. If somebody's like, hey, this new pistol came out, I review it, this and that. A lot of times, so for example, like Sheepdog Response, a lot of times they don't even use the word gun. They'll say like, or it'll bleep it out, like this gun, but it'll say bleep when they say gun. Or they'll use different words like this toy or this thing that we're not allowed to talk about. Like they'll say that almost like, in a joking
Sarcastic
fashion.
way.
Yeah, in a sarcastic way because,
Yeah.
dude, it's like you can't say the word gun. Like what the fuck are we talking about?
But it's legal here too, man. Different.
What's that has to do with Europe too? Because they passed a bunch of they've posted a bunch of laws, like passed new laws that basically restrict. Like they're the ones that are restricting certain things, and so if YouTube wants to be able to still monetize and show videos in their country, they have to comply and they have to. They're the ones that are like pretty much enforcing.
Yeah.
That you can't have these type of topics or they get pulled. So YouTube has to do those for all videos.
Yeah.
Meta, but what Elon's doing is he's saying that, okay, I don't agree with your law that you're passing. I'm just not gonna have any X at all in your whole country.
In your country, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was in England, right? I was in the UK. A lot of people are pissed about that.
Yeah.
So many people are pissed. You can't even so if I wanted to buy, so like guns are completely outlawed in the UK.
Yeah.
So you can't carry a gun. You can't own a gun for self-defense. You cannot carry knives. So you can't have a knife, a fucking Swiss Army knife, switchblade. You can't have a multi-tool in your fucking pocket.
That's
right?
insane.
But they have the highest or one of the highest rates of knife violence in the entire world.
Yeah.
They have any gun violence that they have is not from people that have guns. It's obviously from criminals.
Yeah.
So criminals still have guns. And you can't even, so if I wanted to buy kitchen knives for my home, you couldn't like order. So like I can go to Amazon and I can order a set of kitchen knives,
Yeah.
and they'll be delivered to my front door.
Yeah.
You can't even order them online. Yeah. So one of the guys when I was in Mallorca for my seminar, he is American from I think Utah. They have a bunch of guns like in his family and stuff like that. They grew up doing shit like that, hunting and whatever. And so he moved to London for work, and he's just like, man, it's unreal. Like I couldn't even order knives so I had to go to the store. I think they have to check your ID to make sure you're old enough, and maybe background check you or whatever the case is.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, luckily for us, man, we're in the martial arts business. I
Yeah.
feel like there's not much problem with that. If you stick to it, I feel it's good.
Yeah.
The food industry is good, safe. I don't know, man. Maybe for me one day, exit strategy, I'll open up a freaking food truck here
You should.
in Austin.
Some shawarma.
Some falafels, That's it. Keep it safe.
In Europe, one of my favorite things to eat was shawarma.
Shawarma.
They have it everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Because there's a lot of Arabs in Europe, and they're good freaking shawarma.
Man, yeah. I feel like in Austin, there could be like a sick city. Obviously, I like it here. Living, getting around is super easy. I feel like it could be a bit more like diversity in the food. I don't go out too much.
No, but I would say that it lacks that in the food culture. A
Yeah.
little bit of diversity. There's some like good spots, but it's like one or two that are like Asian or maybe, I haven't found any like real like Lebanese food or anything like that.
That's what I miss when I come here, man.
But it's not like New York where every corner has any food that you want at any time.
Food trucks, man.
I
lived off of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we trained in the blue basement, man, we were on a budget, $5 the guy, man. Falafel over rice with the sauce, with a can of soda, my man. Easy work,
Yeah.
Walk 20 seconds, it's right there. I mean, you tell me, Gilio, like you've been here for like 12 years, This is like, what do you think about that, like diversity and things like that?
I think it's fairly diverse until you compare it to like New York City. But a lot of cities I've lived, I feel like Austin has a more diverse food scene.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go, it's vastly better than Denver. It's vastly, but cities that are kind of comparable size.
Yeah. Maybe I just don't go out enough. Yeah. I don't go out enough.
There's some good Lebanese restaurants. I get stuff delivered all the time.
That's
It's like my neighborhood. It's probably 60% foreign. Like almost all my neighbors around me are all Indian. There's a bunch of people like from the Middle East. There's a bunch of Asians.
Damn.
So there's all the restaurants around to support that. And
Good.
there's 20 really good Indian restaurants really close by. There's some
Yeah.
Lebanese places. There's Israeli restaurants.
Let's see, man.
Stuff up here.
Maybe next to the gym when they open it up, we can have a food truck there.
Maybe after this we go get a falafel.
Oh no! Thanksgiving, man. Turkey. You bite into the turkey leg. You know what I mean? For sure, dude. For sure. We'll see, man. We'll see that. So far, jiu-jitsu is like the main thing here for me.
Yeah. It's hard when you come from a big city, like you said. It's compared to New York, it's kind of hard to beat that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Austin, and it's growing too. There's so many people moving here.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, it's gonna be.
It's gonna be the main.
Be like that.
Yeah, but like going back to Hawaii, like you're saying how like they're super tribal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like jiu-jitsu is like that a little bit. No.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like I'll be like trying to push a seminar, and then like let's say I have a seminar in Montreal during the holidays, and then the guy will like hit me up and be like, "Hey, do you have time to come to my academy?" I look at the where it is, and he's in the same area, but they just don't want to like support the other location and things like that. I find that a little bit like unfortunate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know why our sport in particular is extra like clicky and like.
I think because it's so small.
You think, huh?
And people, like if you go to a town, I'm not like that at all. I've never been like that. My first experience in jiu-jitsu was definitely like that. Like when I first started training jiu-jitsu, my coach was like a really old school Gracie.
Yeah.
And he was like, they're like ride or die. You're with your gym and you can't go anywhere else.
No.
I've never really liked that. And so like, dude, if I have a student that, wants to go train somewhere else because it's better for them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Man, go train there.
Let them do it, yeah.
And the more freedom you give and the more you realize that you make people realize that you're there for them, actually the more they want to stay with you.
Exactly.
But the more restriction you put, they're like, okay, fuck this. Like, you don't control me.
You don't like that, yeah.
Like, so my first gym one time, there was a guy who it was in Miami, and he was moving to Fort Lauderdale. It's probably like an hour drive. So he was like, hey man, you know, he was saying goodbye to everybody. Like, it's gonna be my last class, this and that. Like, I'm moving to Fort Lauderdale. I'm gonna go train at, you know, some Gracie Baja nearby my gym.
Jeez.
And the school owners were kind of like wanting him to still train there. So they were like, well, maybe we can give you like a discounted price if you just train with us and this and that. It's like, he's like, dude, I'm moving an hour away. Like, there's no hard feelings. I'm not leaving here because I don't like you guys. But like, he got married or something. His wife, that's where she was living. So, you know, life, he had to move.
Yeah.
It just doesn't register with some people. Some people, they just want you to be like with them no matter what.
Yeah.
And everybody's got to look out for themselves, you know? So, but if you show people, that's what I noticed. Like, if you show people, especially in jiu-jitsu, especially your students, that you're there for them, then they're going to be more likely to stay with you.
No,
you
I
know
agree
what I
with
mean?
that,
They're going to always, even if they have to move or whatever the case is, they're always going to be, hey, that was my coach. They're always going to come back and want to travel and train with you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I think it's like that even for teaching, right? Because one thing that I always tell people, like when I first started teaching, I used to just try to teach everything that I know.
Yeah.
And like show people how much that I knew or how much I could do.
Yeah, yeah.
And that doesn't help anybody but yourself.
Yeah.
But if you teach something that's for them, you teach the students what they need, they can feel that.
100%, yeah,
You know what I mean? But you start teaching all this cool stuff and stuff that is for you and me might be completely normal.
Yeah,
You've done
yeah.
a bunch of seminars, right?
100%.
How many times have you gone to a seminar, showed something that you're like, this is sick?
Yeah.
Then you look around the room and 2 people can do it and 30 other people have no idea what's happening.
Dude, that's, yeah.
And then it ruins your whole plan for the seminar because you're like, okay, well, the next thing I'm going to show is going to be even harder.
You got to backtrack.
You got to backtrack and it throws things off.
Yeah.
For me now, like when I teach, I don't teach to show how much I know. I look at everybody in the room. I pick the lowest person and I'm like, if I can make you do it, anybody else can do it. And then maybe you go around the room, you add something here and there. You take a more advanced guy, hey, try this, try that. You know what I mean? If the guy does this, you do that.
Yeah.
But if I start throwing out all those details to, you know, a guy who's been training for 3 months, who's in the exact same room,
Yeah.
forget about it. He's gone.
Exactly. Forget about it. That's what I started doing at seminars, dude. I start with always like, because where I teach now every day, Black Widow, you know, I get it. First of all, like very nice of Hensel Gracie Austin to do it, but we kind of like Black Widow and Hensel Gracie Austin kind of like work together because, you know, a lot of them come and train with me. Let's say when John's out of town or whatever, they'll come and train. And then, so some of my guys now start to go there and train, you know? And I tell them like, dude, as long as you're getting better, like I'm pretty happy about you going. I don't mind, you know? Obviously it's nice for you guys to keep coming and showing up every now and then so you guys can, you know, help elevate the level of the room and like, you know, establish yourselves as like, you know, one of like leaders in a team. I feel like that's super important. You're building a team is start to bring up leaders, you know, like obviously you gotta make it so that they don't get overly like confident and cocky and be like, oh, well, I'm too good for everything. I'm a superstar. Yeah. But it's nice to have like, as you start, because it's been like almost 3 years now that I'm teaching there, 2.5. Yeah. 2.5. And now like I'm at a point where I have, you know, regardless of the age or who they are, their background, like they're becoming like leaders in the room. Like I can pair them up with someone less experienced, and they can kind of help someone new, or like they can help whoever they're partnered up with. Yeah. You know, so it's nice that, you know, you stay open, but like I don't know, for me, I just told them like, they're like, hey, you mad I'm going to train somewhere else? I'm like, no, I'm not mad. I'm happy you're getting better. Yeah. Of course, I'd like to still see you every now and then. You know, I'd like for you to keep like to stay somewhat involved in the room with us, because it's good. Like it can give you a different perspective also about training, because now you go to a place where, you know, it's high level, more advanced people are traveling for jiu-jitsu. Let's say that people train at RGA, you know, that can't go into Roca, and then like the level is high, but it's good that you be in a room where you can be somewhat of a leader and help people, you know, and help elevate the level too. you know. But then also like being in that room, the other thing I picked up is what you say, like you go in and then like that's when I was teaching. I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna teach? What am I gonna show these guys? I've shown them pretty much everything I know. By the way, there's no such thing. But then I started like just doing what you say, you know, you teach them things that they need, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What they want to work on. And it was very tough at some point because like the way the schedule is built for us is, it's like jiu-jitsu. It's not like beginners jiu-jitsu, advanced jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's like jiu-jitsu.
All levels jiu-jitsu.
And then all levels.
Yeah.
So like now it's getting to a point where, you know, like I'll look at the room and I'll be able to be like, okay, well, these 2-3 guys, I'm going to put them, work them separate.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be on this corner of the room.
Yeah.
And the others, they're going to work on some different topic. And
I have mixed feelings about breaking up experience levels.
yeah.
I think on one hand, it's good to have maybe like a very beginner class for like the first 3 to 6 months, like only people, like if you've been training for 0 months to 6 months, you can train in this class only with those people. But at the same time, it's very difficult for one instructor to teach a class of 20 or 30 people that have 0 to minimal experience and give everybody attention. Whereas if I have, let's say, for example, an all levels class, because even so, I'll teach 2 classes back to back. One class is a all levels class. That's what it's written as on the schedule,
Okay.
all levels.
Yeah.
And then the next class is fundamentals class.
Oh,
but still, most people train 2 classes anyways. So it's almost like the exact same group, maybe a little smaller because people got to go to work.
Oof, yeah.
But it's almost the exact same group that comes from one class to the other. Then for the second class, it's labeled as fundamentals. So you get 4 or 5 guys that are beginners because they think they need to go to that class.
Yeah.
But in reality, I have kind of learned to teach a class, like you said, where you have all experience levels. And it is actually, I think, more helpful if you have beginners in a classroom with more advanced people than to have a classroom of only beginners in some way. Unless you have like 5 or 6 instructors that can teach like 40 people that are all beginners.
Yeah.
Because they can go to different groups and help everybody, because you're not going to be able to get everybody. But if I take a class, like let's say, for example, in my class where we'll have like 35, 40 people in a class, and maybe, I don't know, Dave, how many of those people have been training for 6 months or less? Let's say probably half, yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, at least like 30 or 40%, sometimes more. So now what I can do is I can teach moves that are basic, right? And there's no like basic and advanced moves. I think what you get is just more reactions, right? A half guard pass. I teach a basic half guard pass. You're always going to start with your basic half guard pass, but then what's going to happen? The guy's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to try to elbow escape. He's going to try to bridge. He's going to try to put a butterfly hook. Now the advanced part is like, how do you deal with all these different things happening? But it all starts from the same place.
It does.
So I start at the same place, and then now I can say, hey, you 2-month white belt, you pair up with those 2 blue belts, and then the blue belts are going to get to drill with each other. And then when the white belt goes, he's got somebody who knows how to move that can help him. And he's not like, if I tell him, hey, left elbow inside the hip, he's not like, he knows what to do. He puts his elbow inside. And so now he gets a feel for, what am I really supposed to do when I'm in that position? What is it really going to be like in real combat? And then he has people that have done that move maybe a few times helping him. And then I can still go around and I can touch up and I could say, hey, I could go to that same exact guy and, you know, give him some tips. Then I move on to the next group. Then I move on to the next group. And so now you have like a handful of people that are brand new training with a handful of people that have been training for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So you almost get like helpers in the room. It makes the people that are more experienced better, because you know what makes you better is your ability to teach what you know. It's not just about training. It's about teaching and like articulating it.
100%.
So it makes them better. And I always tell that to them. I'm like, hey, you know, be patient with this guy. Let him work a little bit. Make him understand what it is that he's trying to do, because it's going to make you understand more. And it's going to be more, it's going to be kind of it's something that's in your subconscious that you're bringing out. But then, you know, at the same time, on the training side, when they go to roll, what's up, Jess? When they go to roll, I can choose who to pair them up with. Whereas if you take a couple of white belts that never really trained before and don't have a lot of a training experience, they're going to give the wrong reactions to each other. So even if they train for 6 months, then they go to train with a blue belt and they have no idea what the hell is happening.
Yeah.
So they're going to give each other wrong. But a guy who's a blue belt or a purple belt can move and give looks and let him get a position, work his way out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you get, I think, a more realistic feel, and people get better faster that way. That's what I noticed.
No, I agree with you, man. Like that's something that sometimes, like, let's say the room is, because it's a little bit smaller, the group that we have at Black Widow. Let's say there's one guy who's been in here for like 2 weeks, and then pretty much everyone's been in me for like a year and a half. I'll let him jump in the class, and then I know John said at one point, like, you should be able to teach a class to the guy who's day one and a black belt, and they should go through the same class and pick something up. So I try to live by that, I got that from John too. Yeah, I try to live by that. I try to do it. But I do see, like, sometimes the benefit. I mean, I feel like both help out, but I do feel like sometimes I see 3-4 guys a month and under. Yeah. Okay, man, we're gonna work them separate. Yeah. And then maybe have them do positional rounds with someone more advanced. Dude, coaching's been like, it's almost like it's a different aspect, but it's such a fun one to like figure out and learn and evolve in that aspect. Because I feel like at the end of the day, that's what, like, one day we're maybe gonna slow down competing by a lot. That's probably what we're gonna. At least for me, that's something I want to do.
No, me too. I love coaching. I love coaching.
Yeah, and then I'd love to, how like John has like a group of like pros. Like he goes to Roca and it's pros. He has like a pro team. Yeah. And then he goes to RGA and he teaches like hobbyists. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'd love to have that one day. Like a facility where it's professional training. Close to professional guys. And then more of like a hobbyist, have like these two different groups, two different vibes, different approach, different feel to training. One is more like a little bit more serious. One's more a little bit laid back. You can play some music in the background and everything. Like, let's say like college sports, you were telling me, like when you went to, where was it, Iowa?
Iowa, yeah, University of Iowa.
Like they study film, they have these sick facilities, they have recovery. That's the dream one day to have for jiu-jitsu,
They had TVs in the mat room. So they could drill and then rewatch. Damn. Like live, like they did something and then they would rewatch it, study, and then go back in.
That's the level my dream one day, dude. Like, I remember watching one like the what was it called? The embedded series. Yeah. It comes out was fighting Whitaker, and he was like up in the mountains working in altitude and everything, and have these like this Russian like a wrestling room with the massive picture of Putin like in the front. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, this is sick. Imagine having like a facility like this somewhere in altitude where it's like for professional training, and then you can have like the hobbyists or something.
What's the massive picture gonna be for yours?
It's gonna be you, man. Or is you? I don't know, man. We'll figure it out. We'll see what it is. But yeah, man, it's coaching is definitely something a lot of fun. Different groups, obviously, like when you're training with professionals, it's a different vibe than when you're training like hobbies, it's thing like that. But man, in the journey of jiu-jitsu, I feel like this is something everyone should experience, athletes should definitely do it. And I enjoy it. Like, I learn how to enjoy it. It's not like something I feel like forced to do.
Some people hate it though. I know that for sure. Like, I know people that have like actively told me they're good competitors and they're like, man, I hate teaching.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. For some people, for me, it's rewarding, and I know it helps people, so I like that. Yeah. And I just like doing moves, seeing a dude learn the move, and then seeing a dude hit it in sparring. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It's nice, man. The same, like in the beginning, it was rough for me. I took on this group of people that knew pretty much nothing. It was all white belts. And then, I don't know, the instructor before, I don't know if there was like any structure or idea of what was going on. Man, they knew nothing, like pretty much nothing. So like the first like 6 months, bro, it was like, and John's approach, I was trying to copy it as much as possible. Like how he never like, John is like, I should be able to explain something to you without like moving you or anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I have to grab people's arm and fucking rip it into the right
yank it, because they're like not letting you move.
They don't let you move it. So like, I'll shake it and I'll say relax, and then they relax, and then I move their arm gently. But you got to pull people's hands, put it in the right place. It's
spiritual growth.
Yeah, because so John, one thing that I can do this with some people. John will pull you aside. You can be on the other side of the mat. I mean, you've been to training, you've seen it. You'd be on the other side of the mat, and he won't move. He'll sit on the post, and then he'll be like, Oliver Taza, put your left foot here, and then you'd do the left foot here. Put your right
foot
there.
at first. At first is the right foot.
Yeah.
The other left.
The other left. Yeah. But he'll verbally walk. He'll walk you through a technique from like the other side of the room without moving. Occasionally, he likes to walk over and do the move on you to have you feel it. But for the most part, it's a lot of verbal commands.
Yeah.
And get you to do it. Which I think works for us because one, we're used to John.
Yeah.
So we know like what he means for the most part when he's trying to tell you something. Unless you just don't get it at all, and it's just then there's the awkward moment where it's like your other hand, your other left. But for the most part, I think I kind of understand what he means when he's saying things.
Yeah.
And we all do because we're athletes. We've done a lot of jiu-jitsu. We know how to move our bodies, etc. But for the average person that's been training for like not a lot of time, you tell them, dude, I have a guy, I swear to God, he's brand new. Very nice guy. He's a little bit serious. Like he's very intense when he's training and stuff like that.
Okay.
Dude, he literally does not know his right from his left. Like I swear to God, if I say left hand, he moves his right hand every time. And I say no left hand, and then he's like, and then he finally gets the left hand.
Yeah.
I say right foot, he goes left foot.
Left hand.
Yeah, left hand. No, I swear to God. No, he literally, every single time without fail, it's the opposite of what I tell him. So I think what I'm going to start saying is I'm going to start saying the wrong thing, and hopefully he starts doing it the right way.
Inshallah.
But but I swear to God, this one guy, nice guy, and he shows up every day, does 2 classes, he gets smashed, still keeps going.
Love that.
Only been training for like 3 or 4 weeks, but it's literally just zero mind-body connection is just not there.
Yeah.
So you got to go over there, you got to take his hand, you got to put it in a place, and then sometimes you want them to grab something, like grab the waist like a tight waist, and they just kind of put their hand wherever. And you got to tell them to grab it and pull it. Like, man, you got to use physicality right here. You got to get tight. So you got to really explain to them and make them feel that. You got to do it on them so they feel what it's supposed to feel like. You know what I mean? You have to have them do it on you, and you have to give them that tension and stuff. So it takes time for sure. But I can't, there's people that I can use that approach on where I can verbally just walk them through stuff and they kind of get it. And then there's people that it's just 100% impossible. They have to feel it.
Yeah, dude. I feel like sometimes when I walk around and like I walk close to people, they get nervous and they mess it up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I try to, like, if there's like a detail or two that's a little bit off, I won't even mention it. Yeah. I'd be like, it's okay. He's getting like the big picture. He gets it.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Nicole, one of my students, she's a brown belt. She's a very technical brown belt. She trains with everybody. And I remember one day, because she's like that, she gets super nervous if she gets put on the spot. Yeah. So I watched her execute a perfect legs kimura in the 6 p.m. class in sparring. So I was like, okay, awesome. Next class, we're teaching kimuras. So I teach kimura, regular kimura, and then I said, okay, I'm going to do legs kimura. I'm going to have Nicole demonstrate it as I walk her through it. She could not do it, man. And she was like nervous, shaking. She couldn't do it. And I was like, Nicole, I just watched you do a legs kimura in live sparring against a grown man and fucking submit him. And then she was like, I know, I'm so sorry. I was just really nervous. And I'm like,
That's
it's
funny.
just like, there's some people that they when you're watching them, and I don't know if it's like comes from like they think I'm gonna judge them or whatever. I always make jokes with my students, like make fun of them and stuff like that. It breaks the ice.
You have to.
You know what I mean? Because otherwise they're like, oh shit, coach is watching me. It's like, bro, who cares, man?
Yeah. I try to crack jokes. So I try to have like 2-3 students that I know they can take a beating, verbal beating.
Yeah.
And I just like, not abuse, but I joke about them. You know, like one guy's vegan. You know, he runs marathons.
Always.
He's super skinny. He's my target, bro. I'm always bombarding him with jokes. And
you got to, you got to break the ice.
100%, man. They gotta have fun, you know. But this is something you learn, like coaching. You're not gonna learn in other circumstance, you know. Someone can tell you that. Read a book about coaching. You're not gonna get it unless you do it. You know what I mean? I feel like it helps when you go teach seminars, like you're doing camps, you know, like things like that. It definitely helps, you know. Yeah. Enjoyable for sure, man.
So what's your what's on your competition horizon now?
We got EBI next month, and then the other thing that I'm hoping is Fight Pass Invitational.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say who, keep it as a surprise. But I was supposed to have a match on the card. Like I don't know when this episode gets dropped, but like this one where who's the main event? Who they have?
The main event's Mikey.
Mikey Musumeci, yeah. That one I was supposed to be on it. But like we were talking about like picking your shots and everything. Like the only reason why I'm still competing this year is because I committed to them before ADCC.
Okay. EBI.
Yeah, EBI too. Before ADCC, hit me up way before I committed to them, and then after ADCC, I had like this couple of weeks where I just didn't want to even think about jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? And like he messaged me, Techi. He's like, hey, would you like to be on the SCAR? I told him like, man, because I love the event, because I want to be on it, I want to be a regular face, I want to be 100% ready, zero doubts in my head that I'd be on it. You know what I mean? So this is something, the old me would have been like, yeah, 100%, let's do it.
Yeah.
Old me. That's not old me, but like the mindset that I had, let's say like before ADCC passed, I'd have been like, yeah, no, 100%, let's do it, let's go. Let's take a match, I don't care, win or lose, put a show. But, I want to be like a regular face on the show. I want to, win the belt at some point, And the opponent is like a pretty tough one. You can't like sleep on the guy who's give me,
Yeah. So, and that's going to be next year.
Next year, yeah. And then your boy's got to do trials again. You know what I mean? So get ready. But you know what? Even though I got to do them, man, this is one of the funnest like experiences ever, man.
Trials is a cool tournament.
Yeah. Like you rewatch trials is like some good matches, it's a good vibe, it's good like growth experience, you know? And it's a good way to like, build your brand, I feel.
Yeah, I had a great time doing trials. I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
But luckily I don't have to.
I know, yeah.
But it's a hard tournament, and but it's fun. It was a good tournament.
Yeah, it feels like it's almost like, I don't know, like I'm not saying more stressful than ACC, but like let's say before trials, I'm like, it's about to be trials. ADCC, I don't know, I'm like a lot less nervous. I don't know why. Maybe because,
I think because that's the step you got to take to get there. And then once you're there, you're like, okay, I can relax.
But like trips to Europe are fun, It's a lot of resources, physical energy and like, jet lag and you're losing sleep and you're cutting weight.
Yeah.
But those are experiences, man, you're like, nobody can take away from you. You'll keep them forever.
Who's in the EBI?
So we have
170?
the guy who won it last time, Alan Sanchez, so a Templanet guy. There's Chris Wojcik.
Okay.
Wojcik, yeah.
He's the B team guy?
B team guy. There's Jet Thompson, up and comer from Oklahoma, been doing really good. Like he did PGF, he did pretty good at PGF. He has a very strong Aoki lock.
Okay.
Wojcik as well, very strong Aoki lock, cross hip Achilles. Davis Asari
Okay.
is in it. Kevin Buring from Templanet Atlanta.
Okay.
Let me try to think. Any other name? John Combs.
Any guys you compete against Combs?
I compete against Combs. I compete against Kevin. I compete against Alan. I compete against Chris Wojcik.
See, everybody.
Yeah. Jet Thompson, no. But Jet Thompson's like, in my opinion, like, if I'm not in it.
He's a sleeper.
He's a sleeper, man. Like, you see at PGF, he was hitting these Achilles locks, Aoki locks after, and these ones come on fast, man. You know what I mean? It's like a hybrid between a twisting lock and a linear lock.
Yeah, you gotta watch. I mean, I never seen that guy compete, but you gotta watch out for guys like that.
Yeah, I've been watching, man. I've been watching a lot more, and I feel like the break that I took from competing kind of reignited that hunger, man. I'm watching a lot more tape. I'm studying a lot more instructionals. I'm watching a lot more different styles.
Yeah.
Because John, of course, shows everything, but there are certain styles he doesn't cover as much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we do a lot of entries from inside position. You know what I mean? Like, cross-ashy entries, single leg entries. There's a lot of people playing the K-guard style. They have their feet on the outside, and they're like, you loose pass, and now their foot's outside, and they're going K-guard. Like, you look at like Levi, for example, or like Lucas Canard, the guy that beat Victor Hugo.
At CJI?
CJI, yeah. Like, there's some style, like this style, different styles I try to study and learn from. And you see a lot of people playing K-guard now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, a lot.
A lot, man.
I used to do, in the gi, we called it the Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, of course, man. You take the back off of it. Yeah.
So that was always a game that was very, because I used to play a lot of De La Riva. And I had to kind of get away from De La Riva, no gi.
Yeah.
Because it's not as good. It's still good, but you can do good stuff from it. But Like obviously you can go into K-guard, you can go into all those kind of like back takes and stuff from there.
Yeah, 100%.
But for the most part, like you said, we focus mainly on inside position. It's always a safe place to be. Like that's the thing.
It
you
is.
can never deny it.
You can't deny it.
Yeah.
No, 100% not. I'm just thinking like I can see the idea of outside position being good against like bigger, heavier opponents, like body lockers and things like that. But I think in Nogi, man, it's like you can't like pick a specific game and stick to it. You gotta transition through everything.
Yeah.
And I'm finding like the more I train, the more experience I get in the room with you guys, like the more I understand the importance of like transitioning from guard to guard and then using everything, and it, like everything has its time, you know?
Yeah.
Even like a Nogi Bolo, like there's a time to switch. Let's say you're stuck in bottom split squat and you're able to free your leg. But there's a Nogi Bolo on the other side. Let's say you switch your hips. There's a time for everything. You know what I mean?
You gotta adapt. If the one trick ponies never last.
Never.
There's
Not anymore.
so many guys that were hot for a minute. They did something that was a little bit different, and then they rely on that, and then eventually they just, once that gets figured out, they're gone.
That happened to me when I first got my black belt. John like gave me my black belt after almost 5 years being brown belt.
Yeah.
Cross-hashi entries, no more. People are stalling. People are running away. I had to learn how to wrestle.
Yeah.
I had to learn now how to wrestle up.
Yeah.
Have to learn how to body a pressure pass. Like these things, like you don't have the choice, man.
That's one of your best attributes is your wrestling. I think you don't use it enough, honestly.
Wrestle ups too.
Yeah.
That's like one of, like I was telling you at the beginning of the session where I'm drilling like 1 hour with a guy. These are things I'm trying to like develop a little bit more.
Yeah.
Time to pull back reaction, come up, mix in, attacking and like by pulling and then wrestling up by driving up,
And your defensive scrimmaging, like I think you can mix, because you have good hand fighting, you got good shots, but your defensive scrimmaging is good. Like you can go from attacking the leg to entering the legs, or if somebody's attacking your legs, you can enter their legs. And a lot of people can't do that. Like you do that well. Gary does that well. Probably one of the only 2 guys in the world that can do that really well. And I try to now what I'm working on, like one of the things that I'm working on is being able to integrate offensive wrestling and defensive wrestling, and in that scrimmage, being able to use that to threaten the legs, and then if they respond to the legs, use that to get position, and go back and forth. Positional attack with takedowns, defensively, scrimmaging, trying to attack the legs, and then coming back up. Like you and Gary do that. I think one of the best guys that do that. One of the 2 best guys that do that, like double trouble rolls, sliding ashi entries, like all that stuff.
Dude, I mean, I say it like a lot of times. I say it in interviews. I say on podcasts. Gary, massive influence in my game, man. I think very, very, very strong. Because like coming up, when the EBI was like the end all be all, like Gary was right there, And then when I start going to Henzo's, like
my best flow rounds are with Gary.
Yeah.
My best flow rounds. I had a round with him the other day, and it was like I was in the round, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I wish I was watching this round, because it's probably like we were just like going nonstop.
Yeah. No,
but it wasn't like. It was a high pace, like we were attacking each other back and forth, but it wasn't like we're trying to fucking win and like I'm trying to pin him, pass him. It's just like constant movement. Like you're going to the legs, you're going to the upper body, you're wrestling up, you're going to the back. And it was just like this continuous flow for like 15 straight minutes, and you're tired because you never stop moving.
Never.
And
Gary doesn't get tired, man.
And it's one of the best, like my favorite, like flow movement round for sure. Sometimes I roll with guys that are smaller than me.
Yeah.
And then they just try to go, because I think they think they're bigger than me, that I'm bigger than them, so that they don't want to lose or they need to go harder or whatever the case is. It's like, bro, I'm not here to fucking destroy you. Like this is just training.
Yeah.
And I want to get that movement. I want to get that pace. I want to get that feel. I want to let you attack me. Then I want to counter. Then I want to attack you a little bit and then let you move. I'm not trying to fucking pin and smash.
I say it all the time, man. Gary's like such an example for me to follow, such a freaking solid grappler, all over well-rounded, man. One of the most viewed matches on YouTube is his match against Palhares, Fearless, the guy, comes out, goes right into the fire, sliding gashi, outside heel hook against the leg locker on like 3 times his size. Insane. He's learning from him and his teaching style is very like easy for me to like pick up on, very, very direct, and it resonates with me, Resonates with me big time. So, I have these two comps now, and then other than that, I'm going to be focusing on teaching a lot, be trying to drop some courses, start focusing on that a little bit more. That's what I've been doing, after ADCC. I've focused a lot on traveling, teaching seminars, working on the podcast, things like that. It's a learning curve, just like, coaching, just like competing, doing all these things where, you can impact more people, reach more people, through teaching, and then like just have a better lifestyle, just be able to settle, have to travel when you want, not when you have to.
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm working on right now as well. So, I know like I could be more ready for EBI, but I'm just, I'm doing the most I can with what I have, the time I have now. And then you see how it goes, it'll give me some new things to work on for the next year. Not a bad thing, man.
Yeah. So speaking about teaching, we got Grapple in Paradise coming up.
That's right.
And we just added you to the teaching roster.
What about Gilio? He's going to teach? What are you going to teach us, Gilio?
I'll teach some cooking over there.
How to stuff a turkey. He's going to use me as the turkey.
How to make the cacio pepe.
Oh,
he's got the best one in Austin.
Dude, I want to try it. I want to try it for sure, dude. Yeah. I'm excited, man. You guys, came up with the idea. I would love, man, doing like, we're talking about teaching and cracking jokes and breaking the ice.
Yeah.
I feel like half the work is done just being in a place with, nature and like somewhere like where there's water, you're connected to the ocean and things like that. So I don't know how it was in Hawaii, like
it's a kind of gonna be a similar thing, but honestly, the preparation and the organization of it now is much better because Hawaii was the first one, kind of like a trial. Mm-hmm. And honestly, we didn't plan to make it like a regular thing. It was the Gilio that was like, you should do this all the time.
You should, man. It's fun. I've done one in Canada. I've done it several times, but it's one in Canada where they like go to Canmore. You've been there.
Oh yeah.
In a rock.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Dude, one of the water there is insane.
And I just loved like being with the same group of people for like 3 or 4 days, getting to meet everyone, doing some activities with them.
So the thing about that's what the idea is to make it like a smaller group. So that, because like I've been to camps where there's hundreds of people. I did one in Sardinia, there was 800 people.
800?
Dude, you cannot talk to 800 people in a month.
Can't even look at 800 people.
Exactly. So imagine like, we did, we're trying to do like 20, 30 tops, like a regular class. And having somebody like you, like another person there also, because they can connect with more people, you can talk,
for sure, man.
Get more attention from more high-level instructors. But like the basis of the camp is like jiu-jitsu, obviously twice a day, and then just like vacation the rest of the time.
100%.
So people because for most people, jiu-jitsu is their vacation for the day, an hour a day or a couple times a week from their life.
100%.
But they love doing it. So why not go do a vacation? I mean, people travel anyways.
Yeah.
People travel for work. They travel and they try to find a gym to go train at. Why not go do a camp where it's 3, 4, maybe 5 days? This one's going to be 3 days. But however long that it is, go there, take your wife, take your kids, go do a vacation with them.
Yeah.
And still be able to do jiu-jitsu for, 2 hours a day. Morning and night.
For sure.
Meet a bunch of other people that also do jiu-jitsu, and you're networking, you're making connections. Maybe you find somebody who's in the same industry that you're in, and you can network with them and make a connection that would be good for business or whatever the case is. Maybe you just make friends with somebody. Like from the last camp that we did, we had a WhatsApp group, and a bunch of people still talk to each other on WhatsApp.
Nice.
People from different parts of the world and the country.
That's cool, man.
So, and then they get to not only hang out with the coaches, but also they get more attention from the coaches, because I don't want to have like 100 people in one room.
It's too much, yeah.
To where I can't give people full attention.
Yeah.
So, we're super excited to have you.
Yeah, dude. I feel like it's in January. You guys doing it in January?
Yeah.
Oh, people on the East Coast, man, you guys need your sun. You need your vitamin D.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the idea. It was Costa Rica, so we wanted to do it in the winter so people can get away from the cold. And Nosara is like one of the best. I was talking to Sebastian Rodriguez. He's from Costa Rica, and he said Nosara is the most beautiful part of Costa Rica.
Beautiful, man. Yeah. And dude, like I feel like material things unless you need it. Like for me, like if I had to buy like material things, if you guys watch my podcast, you see it's like this ghetto setup with like 2 like stiff chairs and a table. Like for me, I can find like material things that I need, but a lot of times people get material things, like especially around Christmas, they don't need.
Yeah.
Like you don't need this fancy gadget. You don't need this.
Yeah.
If you want to like spend something on, you want to spend your money on something, you do like on experience.
Experiences, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're going to get better at something that you like, and you're going to have a memory
Yes.
with, your family or, whatever, by
Yeah.
yourself, friends, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. It's cool, man. I enjoy it. And also like, like in jiu-jitsu, like it's kind of different from other sports where you have access to like athletes, we have access to like these high level athletes, but in a way, like when you meet them, it normalizes like the people. Like it makes you think like, oh, well, this guy's a high level athlete, but he's just a normal guy, you know what I mean? Like they see like, oh, he's just like me, you know what I mean? And also like maybe for some athletes who like put up an act like, oh, I'm a big superstar, I don't want to be, around regular people, so to speak. Like, man, for me, it's not like that. Like I forget that, like I am like being competing at the highest level. I don't feel like it separates me from like different people just because I'm good at like a sumigashi or a backstep, heel hook, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it still can vibe with normal, like with people that are like white belts. Or it's like we're all the same, I feel,
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to make Grapple in Paradise small, because people want to be able to relate to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They see you on YouTube, they see you on, live streams and competitions in ADCC.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, this guy's fucking really good and he's on top of the world, but like, who is he as a person? Well, you're only going to know that when you experience me. And people can only know so much about you by videos and interviews and posts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when they relate to you person to person, I think that's when you leave the biggest impact on them.
100%.
And that's
man,
what John told me that about teaching seminars a long time ago. He says the technique is important and the technique is awesome, but what people are really going to remember is what impact you leave on them.
Damn.
So that's what you have to think about when you go to teach seminars, is obviously teach them well, but let them know that you cared about their improvement, remember their name, and these things all seem like common sense, but among athletes, I've been to plenty of gyms where other athletes go and they're like, hey, so-and-so was here and, the experience wasn't that great. Maybe
I've heard
big
that before.
ego, their feet are, off the floor. They think that they're fucking floating.
God.
And they don't treat people, the right way. And people remember that, you know what I mean? But if you just treat people, for me, it's normal. Like I like having those kind of interactions with people.
Yeah, that's for sure, yeah.
When John said that like really clicked,
Yeah, no, 100%. I like the fact that you guys, there's beach. You guys the beach.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys think like maybe doing the mountains in the snow one day, or like maybe in the desert?
Yeah, well, we want to do Texas.
Yeah.
Texas
For
desert.
sure.
Yeah.
I'll do some cool Texas stuff.
Like,
Too in Texas, get different parts of the weather. Like do summer edition. You got the lake. You got that type stuff.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, do a fall one also.
Go to the desert. Go to Saudi Arabia one day. Ride camels and shit like that.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Can you set that up?
Let's go. I speak the language, man.
Let's go to Lebanon.
Lebanesia. Let's go there. Yeah, for sure.
Where's your family from in Lebanon?
Beirut.
Beirut?
But man, the country's small. I have family in the mountains. It's small. You drive, you can bike around the country, man. It's super tiny.
We want to really we want to do them pretty much anywhere and everywhere that people are willing to go.
International.
Exactly.
Asia. I've never been to Asia, man.
I have been, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love, man.
I've been to Japan and China.
Meet people from
and
like
Kazakhstan, if you consider that Asia. I don't know if you would. I think it's technically part of Asia.
Eurasia.
Yeah. Eurasia, they call it. That was a cool place to go.
Damn, yeah. I've never been.
That show's pretty cool, Aiga.
Aiga, yeah?
Yeah.
I've never, like that rule set, I haven't competed under that rule set. That's something I'd like to compete under one day.
Yeah.
Aiga, fuck. That's like the rounds and everything. I've never gotten to experience it. Maybe one day. We'll see.
Well,
There's time, man. I'm not going anywhere. I love this sport. I don't see myself doing anything else,
Yeah.
For sure, I want to be doing this for at least, like, this lifestyle right now, like, at least another 10 years, man.
Yeah.
See where the sport is going places, man. I want to be there when it happens,
Yeah.
I don't want to be this salty, bitter guy that, quit too early and then, like, is down downplaying and down talking all these, you've seen these athletes, they're out there a little bit bitter and salty about like what they missed out on. Just look after yourself, man. Go for longevity, try to stay healthy as long as you can. You'll be able to stick around.
What do you want to do after jiu-jitsu when you retire?
Man, like I said, this facility, this high-level facility, that's a dream of mine. Like a very professional, top-of-the-line, top technology facility that like exists in other sports. I want to bring that to jiu-jitsu.
Where would you do something like that? You want to go back to Montreal or?
Montreal is nice, but I like the idea of being somewhere in altitude in the mountains, somewhere nice like that. We'll see, man. We'll see. I know in the US there's places with altitude, like you mentioned Montana. Like Montana is in altitude.
Anywhere like you got the Rocky Mountains go from Colorado. They start in Colorado or New Mexico? New Mexico all the way to freaking Montana.
Oh, that's true. New Mexico, they have altitude there. So that's what I want.
There's mountains in California. There's mountains in freaking Idaho.
Yeah. I like the beach, but I'm more of a mountain guy,
Me too. Yeah.
I like mountains, I like even, you're going to get snowed in. I don't care, bro. You get snowed in. Who cares, man? The snow's beautiful. Like you see, like everywhere is like clear snow that just fell. It's nice. You can do a lot of cool activities.
Yeah.
That's the dream, man. Have like, build businesses around that facility. It can be like, professional like care for athletes, like, like physios or whatever.
Yeah.
High level massage or like, recovery facilities. It can have like all kinds of, hyperbaric chamber, all kinds of like red light therapy, whatever, all that stuff, have like top of the line facility for high level athletes for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's the dream. Maybe
badass.
we can make it one day. And then maybe, I don't know, I think a business that goes very well with jiu-jitsu or like just any martial arts is a barber shop. Obviously I wouldn't recommend.
Everybody needs a haircut.
You know what I mean? You walk out of training, you're all showered up, you need a lineup, boom, the guy's right there. You know what I mean? You need to get your fade cleaned up a bit, you just go in there, boom, you get your lineup. Because I've seen it at TriStar, like at TriStar, we used to have like this guy, he had like a ghetto chair. He was a very good barber, but he had a barber shop. But he asked for us, hey man, can I do cuts? Can I do cuts? And then he had like a little space, and then people would be walking out all showered up already. So the guy doesn't have to shower. Like you go to barber, sometimes they clean you up. Your hair, the guy's already clean. You know what I mean? Just go, quick line up.
The best barber I ever had was when I was living in Massachusetts. I used to drive to Nashua, New Hampshire, to do strength and conditioning with a guy. He was a black belt, used to train with us at Bernardo's, and then he owned a strength and conditioning gym. It's like 30 minutes away. Jesus. So drive across the border. And one day I'm lifting weights, and I'd been living there for a couple months, and I needed a haircut. And so I'm lifting weights one day. I change. I go back to the locker room, and I see a guy. He's all tatted up, and he's cutting somebody's hair just on a chair in the middle of the locker room.
Oof. That's high level ghetto, but I love it.
Yeah, so I fucking asked the dude. I was like, hey, do you do haircuts? He's like, yeah. And then I was like, well, like, can I get your number? Like, let's set up a haircut. Do you have a shop? This and that. He's like, no, I'm just doing haircuts wherever. So he worked out there at the gym. And then the gym owner was just nice enough, was like, yeah, just cut people's hair in the locker room. So my first haircut when I was in Massachusetts was in New Hampshire. And it was the guy, Buckets was his name. I don't even know his real name.
You sit on a bucket,
Buckets.
and then he cuts your arm.
No, his name was Buckets. That was his nickname.
Okay.
You sat on a chair. You might as well have been sitting on a bucket.
On a bucket,
and he brought in a little mirror. He had a little mirror. He like kickstanded up and brewed the best fucking haircuts I've ever had.
There you go, man.
I actually thought about that one day, like investing in a barbershop here in Austin and flying him over. And then now he has a shop that he like part owns with another guy. But he was like, I went to his apartment to cut hair. He came. I used to go to Mass to go film for BGA Fanatics. I would call him up. He'd cut my hair in the hotel room.
That's sick.
He was the fucking man.
Yeah, and then like you look at haircutting. I don't think like robots are gonna take over haircutting at some point. Like
you never know, bro. They could get pretty good.
I mean, they're playing table tennis and things.
Oh, really? Cutting hair?
Yeah.
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit.
That
That's
might
scary.
be some high level lineups, man. That's good. I'm not complaining. My fade be done by a robot. Nice skin fade. Look good, look clean, We can have a mullet like yours usually on there.
I'll connect you with Buckets when you open up your place.
When I open up my place, maybe inshallah one day we can have a barber shop too.
Yeah.
A juice shop, healthy, clean, like, clean fuel for the athletes before, after.
Yeah.
Something like that, man.
It'd
You
be
know,
like a PI. Like,
PI, like a high level PI, like that.
Yeah.
That's the dream, you know.
Yeah.
Do it, and then food. Also, the food industry. I mean, I worked in restaurants for many years.
Yeah, me too.
You know. Yeah, that's true. Your mom's a chef, no?
Yeah, and then I worked like busting tables, waiting. Even when I lived in Houston, I used to live in Houston. I used to wait tables there.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
grind.
I hate that job.
Yeah, I hated it too. You know?
It's hard work. People don't realize like it's actually hard work.
Yeah, but-
especially if you work. Did you work like in like a fine dining place?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
it's hard.
worse, man.
Yeah.
Even because you dressed up in like uncomfortable
The
clothes. and
shoes. You're on your feet all day long.
You're on your feet, running up and down stairs.
Yeah.
You're sweating in these tight pants. Yeah. It's summer in Montreal.
Yeah.
Not blessed. The money was blessed
Yeah, the
at a
tips
time
are
where
good.
we needed,
Yeah.
you know, but the conditions were not blessed at all.
Yeah.
You know, but it wouldn't be like a fine dining restaurant. It'd be like, you know, like when you went to Mexico, like you saw these little taco stands.
Yeah,
these little,
yeah.
It would be something a little bit like that, you
More
know.
like a juice bar type thing. Some
Or like a food
sandwiches.
truck. I know
Yeah,
they have
or
a lot
truck,
of
yeah.
food trucks here. That'd be a cool thing, you know, bring some of my culture, you know, down to Austin.
So you're an
It'd be cool.
entrepreneur at heart.
You know, would love to manifest that, you know, would love to say that. We'll see, man. We'll see
can do
one
it.
day. There's like, life is long, you know what I mean? Like I had phases where like I never thought like I'd be doing jiu-jitsu. Like I was doing like soccer was my whole life, football,
Yeah.
calcio, whatever you want to call it.
Calcio.
You know, I never thought it'd be like, it's not completely out of my life. I still follow it a bit, but like, man, life, like you never know what's going to happen. And these are things like I've always, you know, thought of, dream of. Right now, that's the dream. That's what I see. I see like a high level facility, being a coach at it, you know what I mean? We'll see.
You could do it.
Yeah.
You could do it for sure.
Or like maybe, who knows, some of the guys that I train, when they become so high level, they become brains of the sport where they can like, you know, run their own teams. Who knows? We'll see, man.
Yeah.
You know, but as of now, you know, step by step, I keep competing, keep training, keep learning. Stay at the top of the game. I feel like it all starts with being elite at something, you know?
Yeah, it's important to focus on the present, but have an idea of what the future is going to be.
Yeah,
You know what I
because
mean?
it's at some point, you know, like I'm not saying like I don't like my life right now, but I'd like to see my life change over the years, you know, for
Yeah.
the better, and like things be a little bit different. You know, I don't want to see the years fly by and then, you know, like evolve.
Be in
and
the same place, yeah.
Be in the exact same place. I feel like it's a little bit scary, you know?
Yeah, for sure. You got to have an idea of where you're going. You don't want to be like, have a foot out the door because you want to like give everything you have now.
Yeah.
At least this is where I'm at. But you like, because I'm the same as you, I never planned to be here and where I'm at. And all this stuff started kind of happening because I was just in the present moment trying to do the best that I could at jiu-jitsu, and things just started happening and doors started opening and you get there.
Yeah.
But then you reach a point where it's like, okay, I'm, you know, getting to an age where how much longer do I want to keep living like this? Whereas like I still want to do what I'm doing, but I want to be going up. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I was doing an episode with Landon, and then he was telling me like, oh, you don't have the same hunger and everything. I'm like, no, it's not that. It's just I have other things that I would like to do one day, you know, a family, business, you know, be able to impact more people on a bigger scale. Yeah. It's nice, you know?
I was
like,
18 doing jiu-jitsu once.
Yeah.
And now I see these guys coming in that were like me, and my mindset is totally different now than it was back then. In a good way, I think.
It's a natural progression, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's a natural progression. And then these guys at 18, when they reach like almost 30, they're gonna have the same thought process, you know?
Yeah.
So it's good,
Hopefully.
man. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But you look at like someone like John. Like John didn't change anything, huh?
No.
Not much.
No.
He's particular.
He did. Like I think when he found jiu-jitsu later in life. So I think he went from academia to jiu-jitsu, and that was a massive switch.
Kinda,
like if you think about it, it's like, you know, you go from university, you know, philosophy, like it's a whole different lifestyle. But he was able to kind of bring some of that life experience and knowledge and academia into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Which I think without knowing or without planning, he changed jiu-jitsu because of that background that he had. He started jiu-jitsu when he was like 30 years old.
That's true. You can say he changed jiu-jitsu.
I 100%
firmly believe that.
Nobody can deny that. I don't think anybody can deny it. There's maybe some people that say that, but I think deep down everybody knows
They
that.
believe he changed the game.
And dude, everybody uses John's terminology, John's systems. I
Everything.
never heard the word system in my life until John started becoming popular. Then everybody's like, oh, this is my system, this is the system, this is the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they separate things. Dude, I never heard people say, you know, chest to chest and chest to back position. It was always, you
Yeah.
know, half guard and fucking back control or whatever.
Knee line, thumb
The
line,
knee line, inside
shoulder
position, all
line.
these things. Some sports have, like I know in wrestling they say inside, you know, inside control.
Yeah.
Things like that. But for the most part, a lot of the terminology and a lot of the stuff was heavily influenced by John. And John was also heavily influenced by other sports and like mentors and people in his life.
Well, yeah.
And other fighters. Like he, you know, he watches everybody and he's trained with a lot of guys. And how many times does he tell us, he comes into the gym and he's like, hey, I was watching that guy and the other guy and he was doing this. Let's play around with it. Let's study it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
not him saying, I fucking came up with this move. It's him
No.
saying, hey,
Never.
let's take influence from that and let's make it good for us.
Yeah, I've never heard him say in like the almost like 10 years I've been training with him, I've never say, yeah, I came up with this or I invented this or never, man. I've never heard him say that word, you know? He never mentions these things. He never like takes credit for anything. He never like takes credit for a move. You know, he's always just like, hey, like let's try to improve things. Let's see how it works. And
He never even takes credit for our success.
no, man.
And
no.
like,
good. It's a
I
good
try to
example.
give him as much credit as I can. Not everybody does, but like he never, I've never heard him say like, oh, you know, this guy's a champion because of my coaching or whatever the case is.
no.
Obviously people know that because he is our coach, but like a coach, first of all, people know or should know that a coach can only do so much. He gives you the tools, it's up to you to use them.
Yeah, exactly.
And
man.
it's up to you to innovate them too. Like one thing that I love about John is that he loves innovation. And if he teaches something and you go up to him and you'd be like, hey, I figured out this way to do it. I think it's, you know, gonna work for me better. Or what do you think about this? He's always like, let's play around with it. Let's experiment with it.
Yeah.
Let's see. And how many times has John shown a move? This is one thing that's cool. A lot of people, they don't want to be wrong about something that they either came up with or taught or,
Yeah.
you know, so they don't want to be wrong. They're like, no, this works. How many times has John shown a move? I mean, I literally lost count of how many times he's been like, hey, what do you think about this? Try this. How does it feel? And then it doesn't really work. And he's like, no, that was stupid. Like, we can't do that.
Dude,
All the time he admits that he's wrong about moves.
Yeah, that's something else. Yeah, people don't admit they're wrong. But dude, one of the craziest experiences I had actually with rolling, it was with you. And then like just recently, there's like this not new meta that's coming up because it's obviously been around, but it's coming back as these Achilles locks from different
The cross
angles,
ankle lock,
different, and
yeah.
like it's crazy because we're like doing this round. It was on a Saturday. We were like 4 of us.
Yeah.
It was 4 of us.
We were sparring.
Yeah, we were sparring. And then midway through the round, he's like, hey, Giancarlo, try this, try that. And it was with me. And then like we basically, and then whatever we're working on, by the way, was, I don't want to go too much in depth. Guys, you know, sign up, buy the instructional, Patreon, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But we figured out this defense to this thing by troubleshooting with John, just asking questions. Not like, hey, this is how it is.
Yeah.
Do it. No. We played around with it. We
For
felt
like
it.
20 minutes.
Yeah, and then poor Silvio and Reese were trying to kill each other on the other side.
side of the
You know, you could hear them like freaking grunting and shit in the back. Meanwhile, we're like here troubleshooting. But that's bro, that was one of the most like craziest experiences of like learning how to troubleshoot. And I feel like that specific like session, one of the most important sessions I've ever had with John, man.
Yeah.
Because I saw like, and I felt, and I was there seeing him figure out, and not him figuring out, him like working in a way where we can come up with a solution to how to make things work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it didn't exist. People are doing it, you know, people doing it maybe off instinct, but how to make it like not intuition, but make it like you do it on purpose.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you got to make it conscious.
Yes, exactly.
And he loves experimenting, which is honestly one of the funnest parts of training.
Yeah.
That's why I like still love going to training because I feel like if I just showed up to training and sparred and just drilled and sparred the same shit over and over again, I would just get sick of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes in camps, I do get sick of it because it's repetitive.
Yeah.
But like now, I just like, I'm having fun going to training because we're doing shit like that all the time.
Yeah, it's new, man. You
Yeah.
leave, I leave 2 weeks, I come back, these guys are hitting these locks on me. They're like, well, where did that come from?
Yeah, that's what happened to me. That's why we started doing it, because I fucking left for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And then I came back and John was showing this stuff for like the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks, so everybody was tapping me with it. And I was like, okay, now I got to figure out how to deal with this.
Yeah,
And then
everybody's going to be on the receiving end of that, maybe except for Gordon. I don't know. We'll see when Gordon comes back. We'll see, Gordon, when you come back, boy. Going to be on you. We'll be on you, my friend. No, but I can't wait to see him also being back healthy, man, being back in the training. And it's coming back, man. You know, after ADCC, obviously, it like slowed down a bit, but now Luke's coming back. Marigali flies back in soon. You're back. I'm back, you know, like... We're seeing all these guys coming in, and then at the same time you have these new faces. No, man, I don't think I'll ever get tired of this life. No. I'll never get bored of this thing because it's just never ending. Never stops, man. Things come back into trend, like things leave, some things come back. It's just so nice. So nice to like be witnessing the growth and like be part of it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure, man, for sure.
All right, let people know your next seminars, your podcast, what you got going on before we wrap it up.
So before we wrap it up, well, this episode's not going to be dropped, but I will be in Seattle tomorrow. I will be in Mexico after EBI in Mexico City. I'll be teaching 2 days. Then I'll
Where
be in Mexico City.
Do you know the gym?
No,
Okay.
I don't know the gym. We leave it up to God and we leave it up to Ivan. Let him organize. Obviously, people can reach out to me with whatever questions, Taza Garami. Unfortunately, sometimes these messages get freaking buried in like, there's requests. Now there's folders, different folders for the request. So you got to go through different folders of requests to find people buried in sometimes. So
leave a comment.
leave a comment on an old post. Tell me or check your DM if it's something related to seminars, of course. In Quebec, I'm going to be teaching in Magog, very nice place with lakes. Maybe one day you guys, you know, camp there. Who knows? Hopefully. You know, Canada for like the beginning of the year, and then Costa Rica with you guys, man.
Yeah.
And then after that, you know, I'll be in Buffalo, New York. I'll be in Toronto end of January, and then I think the last one I have planned is in Norfolk, Virginia, at Bernardo's gym. Not Bernardo.
Leprous.
No.
No?
You went there, Gracie Gym, in Norfolk. You've been, no? Or
In
Big Dan has
Virginia?
been, yeah.
No, I've never been to Virginia.
You know Bernardo Figueiredo that trains?
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't been there. I think Luke.
Luke, yeah.
Luke
So I'm going
was
to be
there.
there.
Yeah.
That's the last one planned because I know UFC Fight Pass is going to be reaching out to me for a match, inshallah, God willing, in March. You know what I mean? And then that's it for now, man. I'm hoping also I can go to Lebanon for maybe like 2 weeks, 10 days after the match.
Yeah.
You know, go maybe teach like a charity event there. Try to gather like as many people as I can.
And you got an instructional coming out?
Yeah, I'm working on a course. It's going to be on, you know, a separate platform for now. Like I said, I'm trying to learn a bunch about, you know, courses, building an email list, just different skills that, you know, will
Where can they find it?
It's going to be on olivertazabjj.com.
All right.
You know.
And what's the topic for the first one?
It's going to be Mount Escapes.
Okay,
Mount
sick.
Escapes. I've been teaching it a lot, you know, like, you know, Gary.
Yeah.
Huge influence to this whole instructional, by the way.
One of the hardest guys to mount in the world is you, for sure.
Mount, and then try mounting Gary, brother.
I have.
Tell me how that goes, brother. He's like a slippery salmon, man. Like you try to grab, it just slips out of your hands. You know what I mean? And the podcast over time, hopefully we can have you guys on, you know, one day. You
anytime.
know, try to pimp out the setup to make it look like this, man. We feel like
just do it here.
I feel like you for real. I feel like a superstar here right now with this setup, dude. This is crazy. High ceilings, you know, everything. That's it. Overtime with Oliver Taza. Taza Garami, reach out, man. That's it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you,
All
buddy.
right, thank you.
Yeah.
Bodoni.
Yes, sir.
El Junior.